Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com. I am love. I am peace. I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I will always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken. So it has been written, and it is done.
You have entered into a dimension of truth, where time does not exist and illusions are shattered. The journey of truth is intense. The journey of truth will set you free. Consider this a warning as you enter the dimension of truth uncompromised. All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is May 23rd. We have a great show planned for you tonight. I know we were away for 2 weeks. We're glad to be back. We are continuing our series, The Lands of the Giants, Part 6. So if you have not listened to the other series up to this point, I highly encourage you to go back and take a listen. We are reading from a book where this gentleman was commissioned to go to what they're now calling the Middle East from London or England to trace the steps of the giants, and he's tying a lot of biblical references into it. So as we always do with anything that we approach, we're also bringing in other supplemental materials to add on to what the author is saying in this book. And interestingly enough, what made me become interested in the book, Brother Sean recommended the material, and when I read it, it out the gate talked about Noah being a giant, etc. And that never connected to me until I read it in this book. So we've been going down a journey of connecting the bloodline of Noah and how he was the great-great-grandson of Enoch. So that means if Noah was a giant, Enoch had to be a giant. And if you know the stories and the texts of Enoch, you will know that that Enoch talked about a lot of metaphysical things. He talked about the different realms. He talked about speaking with other beings, particularly we're calling them angels, and Noah even was the one that, said that he visited the heavens and saw the structure of the planet, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been a very, very interesting series. We also kind of are diving into how the Israelites, how they have traveled throughout the globe basically as conquerors of land. So I'm really excited to pick back up with part 6. We do have a lot of follow-up items tonight as well, so we're going to get right into it. So let me bring on my co-host. I see Brother Sean and I see Sis Sandra. Let me bring in Brother Sean. Peace and love, brother. How are you?
Wholeness and power, sis. I'm well. How about you?
I'm doing well. It's good to hear your voice.
Likewise. It's been a minute.
I know. It's been a minute. Glad to be back. Okay, let me bring in Sis Sandra. Peace and love, sis. How are you?
Oh, peace and love to you, Sister Rhonda and Brother Sean and the family. It's good to hear your voice.
Yeah, same here, sis. Same here. Welcome back. Okay, before I go into my stuff, we'll start with you, sis. Did you have any go ahead on with the fuckery tonight or any other thing you want to speak on? I know we've been off for 2 weeks, so you probably got a few little things built up.
You know what? I'm just really astounded that I know we've been knowing this stuff is going to happen for a long time. That the vibration of the frequency is going to be so high that people are going to start going nuts. But I'm telling you, they off the charts. They are doing so many dangerous and foolish things to each other. It's an argument, I'll shoot you in the face. It's an argument, I'll shoot you in the head. It's just, and they're shooting their husbands and their wives and their children, and I'm like, that's crazy. And when you see it, I just like, alrighty, that is not good. But you know that this time was coming because it's been on the horizon and been prophesied for years. Right. And then we got people in office that's really not acting like adults. They griping and telling off on each other like they retarded.
And they are, but anyway.
And they are, and they're succumbing to the frequency too.
Absolutely.
It's really amazing to see the planet is bucking them off.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Because seriously, I'm like, whoa, what? But you know what? The problem is we're getting caught up in the drama too. And that's the problem. We cannot survive if we still be pagans like they are. You know, we need to return to who we are as self and just understand this is a frequency change, and it's probably driving a whole lot of people batty. And people wonder why all these planes are crashing. You know, well, anyway, I'm going to yield because, you know, we got a lot of stuff happening on this planet.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's interesting. One of the songs I played was by Brother Lenny Kravitz. And literally the name of the song is We Raise Vibration. And all through the song, you know, the one-liner is we got to raise vibration. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about, because the planet, Mother Earth, is ascending. And, you know, if you want to go to the higher realms, you have to match her energy. I mean, it's real simple at the end of the day. So, yes, I 1,000% agree with you, sis, that a lot of people are off their rocker is because of the new energy, the new frequencies coming into play that's higher, and they can't match it. So that it is making people nutty. So I'm going to circle back on that because you segue into some information that I just so happened to run across about radiation, but I don't want to go into it yet. I'll give Brother Sean an opportunity to do his go ahead on with the fuckery, and then I'll get into that information. But yes, very good point, sis.
Yep. We'll do that.
All right. So, Brother Sean, you having to go ahead on with the fuckery?
Yeah. I've been seeing a series of videos out lately, you know, talking about up in Canada, how the indigenous, aboriginal women and children are going missing. Now, considering the word aboriginal and indigenous was being used, I'm just waiting to see some melanated people.
Okay, so it wasn't melanated people they were referring to?
No, it's the Mongolians who are now calling themselves aboriginal and indigenous and the first people.
No, you have several seats. Y'all been Native Americans. Stay motherfucking Native American. That's what you said you are. That's what you are on that paperwork. Go on and stay that way. But I'm sorry. Go ahead on, Brother Sean.
You know, the video was of a documentary. So this is something that they're already circulating out there and now starting to stick their little funky-ass faces up under those titles. Now, I'm not prejudiced.
Right.
And I don't hate on nobody because of race.
Right.
But don't none of you motherfuckers know who the fuck you are.
Right.
And you ain't just going to keep taking our shit.
Right.
I mean, at some point it has to come to a goddamn end. You motherfuckers know that your ancestors invaded, came in over the Bering Strait, to Canada, North Pole, wherever the fuck path y'all claim that your ancestors took. If your ancestors is from some motherfucking place else, then this ain't your shit.
Right.
Fuck what you thought. Fuck what you thinking. Fuck what you think you want to think. It's over. Get the fuck out of here with all that dumb shit. Ain't none of this shit y'all's. It was never y'all's. And it's never going to be y'all.
Right.
Now, all this shit is happening. Y'all talking about now. Y'all women and shit coming up missing. Welcome to the motherfucking club. You think I give a flying fuck about what y'all talking about? You ain't supposed to be here. Get the fuck out of here. Maybe they won't come up missing. I digress.
All right. Well, I do want to just add on to this, and I've said this several times, and this not only applies to those that are calling themselves Native Americans, it also applies to those calling themselves Caucasians, all of that. It is everyone's responsibility, and even the ones calling themselves African Americans. It is all of you all's responsibility to dig into your bloodline and truly learn who you are, because those days of playing these identity games, and whether or not you know it or not, whether somebody told you that, it was taught in school, does not matter. It is still your responsibility to trace your bloodline, to know who you are, because as we just said, Mother Earth, the planet, is ascending. So all of these bullshit-ass games are coming to an end. So there will be no more hiding and trickery and this and the data. So if you don't want to be ass out, as they say, I am strongly suggesting that you take the responsibility to find out who you are through your bloodline. Yeah, it may hurt if you find out something different, but this is the age of knowing. Not the age of trying to motherfucking find out. This is the age of knowing. That is the energy that is running across and running through Mother Earth. Only truth is going to stand. So it's up to you which side you want to be on. Okay? So I know I say this every show. I know I say it at least once a show. You don't have to argue with me. You don't have to get upset with me. You don't have to believe what I say, any of that. Go stand outside and you tell that to the elements. Tell it to the plasma. Tell it to the radiation. Tell it to the suns. Who you think and what you think you are and what you think you can do, and what land you think you can occupy and use for your own purposes. Go out and tell the elements that. You don't owe me shit. So, very good point, Brother Sean. Very good point. Okay, kind of going a little bit deeper into, from a physical perspective, things that are literally, figuratively heating up on Mother Earth. I just recently had someone tell me that they're closing on a home. And so they said, oh, yeah, I'm just waiting for the radon test to come back. I said, and the person said, I didn't even know what that was. I had to go look it up. I said, hold on. Back up for me there. Now, in order for you to close on your home, one of the criteria is for a radon test. And the person said, yeah. And I said, that's the radiation level, right? The person said, yeah, I didn't even know what that was. I said, oh, that's interesting. So I don't ever remember having to do that. And the person said, yeah, neither did my parents. So I only knew about radon automatically when the person made that statement, because this man put out a video, it was a couple of months back, may have even been 6 months back, and I don't remember who it was. It was just some random video I saw where he had this radiation device, and he's been monitoring radiation levels, and he was doing it in the ground, against the ground, and he was sharing with folks that the radiation level is rising and they're not talking about it. Okay, so now over these last, I say, 2-3 months, it's really, really, a lot more folks are starting to speak on it. I do have to give a shout out to Brother Kalai. He and I were like the only two melanated people that were talking about that, the UV radiation level, the plasma, and I said not only is it atmospheric, but it's also at ground level. Okay, so that just really tripped me out. So I just did a quick Google search, and I found out around 2010 that they started passing legislation at the state level to start testing for radon. So I'm like, okay. So I kind of looked it up. I just want to share with you what radon is. And they're saying, and this is off of a site, radon.com/radonfacts. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the Surgeon General's Office have estimated that as many as 20,000 lung cancer deaths are caused each year by radon. Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. Radon-induced lung cancer costs the United States over $2 billion per year in both direct and indirect health care costs. It said, according to U.S. EPA, nearly 1 in 3 homes checked in 7 states are, let me read this right. According to the U.S. EPA, nearly 1 in 3 homes checked in 7 states and on 3 Indian lands had screening levels over 4 PCI/L. The EPA's recommended action level for radon exposure. The alpha radiation emitted by radon is the same alpha radiation emitted by other alpha generating radiation sources such as plutonium. Okay, I'm trying to get to where it comes from. Okay, what is radon? A layman's description. Radon is a cancer-causing radioactive gas. You cannot see, smell, or taste radon, but it is a problem in your home. The Surgeon General has warned that radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the United States today. If you smoke and your home has high radon levels, you're at a high risk for developing lung cancer. Some scientific studies of radon exposure indicate that children may be sensitive to radon. This may be due to their higher respiration rate and their rapidly dividing cells, which may be vulnerable to radiation damage. Okay, so I am trying to find where they're saying that they found radon by a gentleman, an English physicist, Ernest Rutherford, in 1899. I'm trying to get to the point where y'all know where it's actually coming from. This is about to prove the point I'm going for. Okay, here it is. Let me see. Sorry, y'all. Radon is fairly soluble in water and organic solvents. Okay. Although reaction with other compounds is comparatively rare, it is not completely inert and forms stable molecules with highly electromagnetic material. Radon is considered a noble gas that occurs in several isotopic forms. Okay, I'm trying to get to the part, y'all, where it's saying that where radon is coming from, it is natural to the planet. Okay? Radon, they are finding it in the soil and in the rocks. Okay? So meaning that it's always been there. But the levels of the radon is rising. Okay, so I didn't want to bore y'all with the whole article, but in the article, they list the source of where it comes from, and you can, do your own just quick search, and you will find that it's not coming from, nuclear waste, man-made, none of that. It is literally natural to the planet. So it is found in the soil. It is found in rocks. And so now those levels are rising. Okay, now of course they're not going to come out and tell you that. But for them back in 2010, for these states to all of a sudden start making that a requirement to test radon levels in homes pretty much tells me that they know that the radon level is rising naturally through the changes that are going on this planet that they constantly hide from people. Okay? Now, I know what their reasons are for hiding it, because they don't want to come out and admit the truth that the planet's vibratory state is rising. The magnetic poles are shifting because of that. And in essence, the vibration is rising. And I don't know if you all remember when I told you that it's going to get to the point where even the food, meaning the vegetables, are going to be ineditable, meaning you cannot, not editable rather, if your vibration is not matching that of the planet. Because if radiation is in the soil and it can be transferred to the water, last time I checked, that's where plants, fruits, and vegetables, that's their home. So my question is poisonous to whom? Who is this radiation level being risen, just like the UV radiation in the atmosphere rising? Now, who's it poisonous to? I'll wait. Because it's natural elements. It's not man-made. So these are the things that as you start to raise your vibrations and you are consciously awakening, you need to be aware of and just pay attention to the things that they are dropping subtly in the news. Just last week, there was a huge radiation storm in the U.S. A huge storm. They knew it was coming. They absolutely knew it was coming. So when we tell you that the vibration of Mother Earth is raising, that you must raise your vibration to match hers, we're not making it up. She is showing you what she is doing. So if you want to stay on her same frequency, you're going to have to match it by raising your consciousness level and leaving these old things behind with the matrix and leaving the fuckery behind with it. So that's just something I wanted to share with the family. I'll pause in case Sis or Brother Sean, you wanted to put something on it before we move to the next thing.
I'm good, Sis.
Okay. The other thing I just want to share with you, I had this conversation with someone. We talked about this before. Sis, this is in your neck of the woods. This came out last week. This is Bloomberg, May 12th. California may go dark this summer, and most are ready. A plan by California's biggest utility cut power on high wind days during on-rushing wildfire season could plunge millions of residents into darkness, and most people aren't ready. The plan by PG&E Corp comes after the bankrupt utility said a transmission line that snapped in windy weather probably started last year's Camp Fire, the deadliest in state history. While the plan may end one problem, it creates another as California seeks ways to deal with some fear could be days and days of blackouts. Some residents are turning to other power sources, a boom for home battery systems marketed by Sunrun Inc., Tesla Inc., and Vivink Solar Inc. But the numbers of those systems in use are relatively small when compared with PG&E's 5.4 million customers. Meanwhile, Governor Gavin Newsom said he's budgeting $75 million to help communities deal with the threat. I'm worried, Newsom said Thursday during budget briefing in Sacramento. We're all worried about it for the elderly. We're worried about it because we could see people's power shut off not for a day or two, but potentially a week. 6 of the 10 most destructive wildfires in California's history have come in the last 18 months, killing 123 people, and often shutting down large sections of the state's electrical grid. Okay, and then Brother Sean and I are going to share a story that he ran across a YouTube video. Because I'm telling y'all, get ready. Okay, California burning. Fire scorched a record 1.7 million acres in Golden State last year. The wildfire season usually starts around June and runs through December, exacerbated by strong winds that race through the state and dry conditions that turn the brush and plant into tinder. PG&E has warned the city of Calistoga that it could cut service as many as 15 times this fire season, said Chris Cannon, mayor of the Napa Valley town scarred by wildfires 2 years ago. But in an interview, the company's vice president of electric operations, Aaron Johnson, said the number will depend on how extreme the weather is. Okay, so if you all are watching, weather patterns, Cali off the chain again. Now they got a lot of flooding going on. But anyhow, all right, it says the utility also plans to set up dozens of so-called resiliency centers, Johnson said by telephone, where backup generators can be brought in to run essential services. An initial pilot center is being built near Calistoga, he said. Canning said his community is working on its own solution. He's looking at developing a small network of microgrids consisting of solar panels and batteries, which would allow his community to function when PG&E pulls the plug. Let me see what else. I'm trying to shorten this up, y'all. Come on, Bloomberg. Y'all, it just okay. It just blanked out on me. Okay, I think that's about it. I think you got the gist of where they're going with that. So again, that source is Bloomberg. Okay, so that's considered mainstream. Also looked at as like a financial even as well. This came out May 12th. All right. Now, in addition to this, I think, Sean, didn't you send me the video about in Ohio, them ladies caught those utility companies.
Yeah.
Working on the lines.
Yeah, 5G, round the clock, 24/7.
Yep.
Storms and everything.
Right. So Brother Sean sent me a YouTube video, and my bad, family. I'll get the YouTube video and I'll post it. I didn't think about it until I read that article, where this one man was having this show, and he had actually two callers called in. The first caller called in and said her old man is a supplier to the utility company for equipment, and they were ordering massive amounts of equipment at all hours of the night. His phone was blowing off the hook, like at 3 o'clock in the morning they were calling, woo-woo, this, that, and the third. And so another lady called in and backed up her story and said, yeah, I just want to back up that lady's story, because that lady was saying she was located in Ohio. And then another, I forget what part of Ohio she was located in. Then another lady called in and said, yeah, I'm in Ohio too. And I was driving down the street, and I saw this unmarked utility truck. So meaning didn't have the logo of the utility corporation, but it was a utility truck. We all know how those doggone utility trucks look. They were by a 5G tower, and the lady took pictures and everything. She brought her receipts. They had gated off an area around this 5G tower. They had a porta potty set up, and then they had a little tent. And the lady said it was a group of men, and they were working around the clock, 24 hours a day, on this 5G tower. And you could tell they were still there, because the lady said you could see their little food and stuff, they food packages and stuff were, they were dropping them on the ground or whatever. So the lady asked them, well, what are you all doing? And the man would not answer her, tell her specifically what they were doing around the clock. Now, I told you all 6 months ago that 5G is not what you think that it is, because I know it's been a lot of information out there that the 5G is, it's bad this, it's bad that, they're, it's putting out bad energy, it's gonna kill a lot of people, ABC 1, 2, 3. I told you all 6 months ago that it's a little bit different than what the community is putting out, the quote conspiracy theory community is putting out. I told you that those 5G towers were put up to match the raising frequency on the planet, because energy is already pulled from the ground and from the air. So if their old ass grid system cannot handle the new frequency, that's it. It's going to go down. Okay? So that's what those 5G towers were about, to bring on a new frequency level to match Mama Earth's higher vibration frequency, so they can keep the power grid system going. But I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
That video is by Marfugo. That's the name of the YouTube channel. The video was called East Coast Power Plants Prepare for Huge Event. The first lady was from Cleveland, and the second lady was from Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, yep. Okay, can you spell the YouTube channel? If you got it in front of you. Marfugo. Marfugo. Okay. Okay, so I encourage you all to go look at that video. So I'm going to say again, they are putting up that technology to match the frequency of Mother Earth. Now, I immediately, when I saw that video, I said, oh, shit. If they're upgrading or scrambling to upgrade those 5G towers, that tells me that the planet's frequency is rising a hell of a lot faster than they thought. And they cannot keep up. So their equipment that they're building, what you say, Brother Sean?
Said she burning that shit up.
Burning it up. And then, Brother Sean, after that video you sent me 2 days later, someone on the job posted a video of the plasma hitting one of those damn transformers, burning that shit up, one of them electrical transformers. Now, what tripped me out, the person that posted the video named it as plasma as hitting the line, which really just freaked me out because you don't hear the general population talking about plasma. And this person was saying, yeah, there's a lot of plasma activity. You're witnessing a plasma burst hitting this electrical line and circuiting out this electrical transformer. Okay? So pay attention, family, to what is going on. Pay attention. Yeah, okay, Purple Pill, peace and love. Purple Pill is in the chat room. 5G is a military frequency. You must think 5G is a military technology. That wouldn't surprise me. Don't all of that technology pretty much come from the military? 5G didn't come out of Microsoft. Absolutely, because Microsoft come out of the military. GM or Amazon, feel me. 432 Hertz does not need to rise or falls or change. All right, now, indeed, Purple Pill, indeed. Okay, all right, family. I'm sorry, so go ahead, sis.
Well, seeing how you talk about California, we know here, and we're going to think back a little bit, that they had a burst of energy coming from the sky. And PG&E, our electric company, obviously is taking the fall for that. And they're saying that they caused it when their transformer fell. But people have said it was coming from the sky. Not from the electric.
Got you.
Mm-hmm. Not from the electrical line, but from the sky. They took pictures of it. I saw it. So PG&E got sued, and they had to file for bankruptcy.
Right.
And see, they're the major producers of electricity in this country. I mean, this state, and so they are probably doing more damage control in that respect than anything, because they took the fall for the plasma that's coming from the sky.
Well, it is what it is. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
So, the people are not being told exactly what's happening to them. It's kind of like the Inky series book, that the people are not being told that the destruction is right at your door, knocking at your door. They're not telling people it. The planes are falling, and they just say, well, it's a computer failure. Yeah, it is, because the magnetic poles are shifting, and your GPS is not keeping up. So if your GPS is not keeping up, it's pointing the planes towards the ground. And there they go. So they're not telling people, like they did in the Book of Inky, that the planet is self-destructing. They're not telling them. Getting them off of it.
Right.
So that's what's happening.
Off of her, rather. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
Oh, you broke up a little bit. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You go ahead.
Yeah, so anyway, so when we talk about all this kind of stuff, they have already started that blackout stuff. I think they had it in this last storm when the winds were high. They turned off people's electricity. So I said, interesting. But, you know, they're having problems with their electricity anyway because the EMPs coming off the sun is whipping them. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It's tearing them. It's tearing them up.
Yeah.
So, you know, what can I say? We just are under siege by Mother Nature, just like you said.
Yep. So, you know, everybody better get their ish together, you know, and, you know, if you, you know, want to, you know, continue, you have to dance to her music. Mm-hmm. She's no longer going to keep her frequency low because you want to be low and want to keep bullshitting around. It's over. Okay? So the electric companies, they getting exactly what the F they deserve because they've been using free energy all along. You know, only thing that they're really doing is taking it, the natural energy from Mother, and using their infrastructure to, you know, give power to the homes, okay? So they're really not supposed to be charging the people the way they are charging us any so-and-so way. So they only getting exactly what they deserve, okay? And then they put out all these lies that they're using coal, and all you got to do is do a little research on how long it takes to form coal, and you'll see that that's as Grandma and them used to say, a bold-faced lie. It takes coal a long time to produce, family. And at the rate they claim they're using coal, it's not possible. So that's just another little proof that they've been using the natural energy all along. So that Tesla, quote, quote, technology, which really wasn't his technology, it was ancient technology that was always used. They've always used it. They just didn't put his name on it. They put another name on it so they can charge the people. So that's what the Mother Earth is supposed to do. She's supposed to, the plasma's supposed to light them motherfucking transformers up. And that's exactly what is happening across the world, not just the U.S. There's been videos also around the world showing those electrical transformer lines, the plasma coming out the sky, whoosh, lighting them lines up, okay? And that's not in addition, as Sis saying, the UV radiation, or they're calling them sunbursts or solar storms that we're having, plasma shooting across the sky. So it's up to folks. If they want to keep playing, go right on ahead, keep playing. That's why I say stand outside, explain it to the elements. Don't explain it to me. Explain it to the elements. But what I do want the family just to be consciously aware of, this is not a scare tactic for you. Because if you are in natural order and you are vibrating, then how would Mother Nature's elements harm you? So just start to pay attention to the stuff that they're going to start putting out about the UV radiation rising, and don't be in the sun. It's coming. It's coming, and it might just be right around the corner this summer. They're going to start issuing that, okay? But what they're not going to tell you is the amount of UV radiation hitting the planet for the purpose of cleaning up the planet and raising Mother Earth's vibrations. So if you are vibrating properly, if you are in tune, you are getting that upgrade as well. You are supposed to be benefiting from that as well. So just pay attention and, try to, you stay in balance and not get so reactive to what they put in the news, because recently I know folks had their dogs in a bunch on the abortion ban that they're just sweepingly across different states coming up with a lot of these abortion laws. And, as some of us melanated people do, we get excited about it. Oh, they trying to do this. That. First of all, calm down. Look at it logically. When did they ever give a damn about you and yours? Now, we were just saying that they were trying to eliminate us. So now you really think, really think this abortion law is targeting melanated people? Which bloodline, which race has a negative birth rate on this planet? I'll wait. So start to think, people, what's going on. Instead of them coming out and telling the truth, they're going to use all of these tricks, all of this fuckery to mask the fact of what's really happening. They've been knowing that the Caucasian birth rates was going into the negative. Okay? They've been knowing that infertility rates for Caucasian women would start to be very high. It is a genetic thing, and that is not what they're telling the truth about. Okay? So you, as people, and this is including the Caucasian people, Mongolian, whoever, melanated people, get your head out the sand, start doing your research, and look at shit for the truth for what it is.
They have birth control places nearly one on every corner in the melanated community, but they also know that they were only given, I think, 8 generations of having babies, because from what I remember in some of the things we had, they were given 8 generations for reproduction, because they were not created to reproduce, but as slaves. So that's their problem, and they're trying to stop it. And I don't know if people will really realize that they're trying to stop their own women from getting rid of their own seed so they can reproduce, and they won't be like, what's his name, Benjamin Franklin said, it was just a few of us to many of them.
Right. And I guess for me, why won't they be honest and say it is a genetic thing? Be honest.
Well, they're getting money from people trying to get inseminated. I was just listening to, I'm watching a video where women who are not married are trying to go to sperm banks and get babies. They're people. And so what I'm saying is they're trying to keep the sperm banks going and, keep people paying to have babies. Because they'll lose money if they tell the truth.
Well, here's the thing, family. Again, I'm going to say it is genetics. So if you knew that the frequency of the planet was going to rise, and part of that frequency rising was going to be UV radiation, which impacts how much melanin is in your skin, then what were you supposed to do but be blending back in to the stronger genetic race? But no, the separation continued. And so even if birth rates turn around, why would you want to bring children into a world whose genetics cannot survive a radiation hot rising planet. That's not even logical. So you're cutting off your nose to spite your fucking face because you don't want to tell the truth about genetics. You don't want to live in truth on what really went on the planet, and that's including melanated folks too. So it is what it is. So all I can say to the family, and that's including, I don't give a dog on who you are, Caucasian, Mongolian, Native American. Know who you are and get in tune, because this is no joke. This is no joke. They're not going to be able to mask the skies much longer. All you have to do is go type in double suns, double moons, planets being seen in the sky. They're not going to be able to do it much longer, family. And although they're masking those things from your eyes, so they think they're masking them from your eyes, that's not stopping the vibration from rising. That's not stopping the magnetic pole from moving. That's not stopping the UV radiation from pulsing on the planet. That's not stopping the plasma from shooting across the sky, from moving underground, and the UV radiation in the atmosphere and in the soil. So just pay attention, be in tune with Mother Earth, and just be prepared. So, okay, so I'll yield on that one. The only other thing I want to point out, I'm not going to read the article, but every week, literally, they're coming out with articles also talking about an ice age and how ice ages happened in the past, and they're bringing back around talking about Europe being colder and freezing over that Siberia area. Okay, so just pay attention to that as well, because I have to give it a shout out to Brother Kalai. He was one of the first that I heard talking about Siberia and Europe, and I call it Eurasia, freezing over. So just pay attention to that as well. All righty, so we're going to move on unless Sister Brother John, you all had something else to put on it. If not, sorry, family, I'm trying to bring up the book. All right, so we're going to get into our main topic tonight. Now, the book of reference that we are using, the main book of reference, is called Bashan and Its Giant Cities. This was put together in 1865. So now we left off on page 60. Let me just back up a little bit. I don't want to back up too much. Just to give you all a recap of where we were. All right, let me use my hand. Okay, so last time we left off, the author, was getting hospitality by the Druze chief. Okay, so he goes, we talked of politics, of war, and of poetry, and most of the company took part in the conversation with a respectful propriety and a good sense that surprised me. The poetry of the Arabs has some striking peculiarities. Their poets often describe the virtues and achievements of distinguished men in short stanzas containing 2 or 4 measures. And the beauty of the rhythm, of the boldness of the imagery are sometimes of a high order. There is a species of composition which they often try, in which many are adepts. It is difficult for those who are ignorant of the peculiar structure of the Arabic language to understand its nature. So now I'm going to pause just real quick. When he talks about the structure of the Arabic language and people being ignorant towards it, and, you know, Brother Sean, you correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that Arabic language can also be very close connected to the Hebrew language, and which is also connected to Sanskrit, which is also connected to cuneiform?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
exactly.
so I just wanted to point that out when him throwing some so-and-so digs at somebody about the Arabic language and being ignorant of it. You know, if he's deep into Hebrewism as he seems to be, he would have been privy to the Hebrew language. So it would be easy for him to pick up the Arabic language. Okay? All right? So again, I'm going to say that again. I want you all to connect. The Arabic, what they're calling the Hebrew language, Sanskrit, and cuneiform are all tied together. You can go online, you can look up those languages, look at the symbols, and you will see striking similarities. And we are going to do a show on language and get a little bit more on that deeper side of language and why it is the way it is, because at the end of the day, it's all tied to vibration. Okay? All right. So a word is taken, and by changing its form, a series of distinct acts is described, each act being expressed by a different inflection of the root. One word will thus occur 6, 8, or 10 times in a stanza with the additional of a prefix or suffix or the insertion of an intermediate letter or an alteration in a vowel point. And each change conveys a new and definite meaning. The warlike achievements of a favorite leader are not unfrequently graphically described in this manner by skillful and varied inflections of his own name. The Hebrew scholar will find something analogies to this in Jacob's play with the word Galied in Genesis 46 through 48. What's that? 30? Yeah, I can't count that high on what the I represents in their damn what do you call that? Greek. All right. Anyway, but the best example of Roman numerals, yeah. I forget what I is. But the best example of this kind in scriptures are given in Hosea chapters 1 and 2 on the word Jezreel. The morning we left Swedea dawned gloomy and threatening. A heavy thunderstorm had passed over the place during the night. Never before in Syria had I seen rain heavier or lightning more vivid. For an hour or more, the flashes seemed to form one continuous stream, lightening up the ruins of the city and the gleams in the rocks of the neighboring mountains with an intense through lurid blaze. In the morning, dark, lowering clouds still swept along the surface of the ground and enveloped the whole mountains. The air was cold, and the smart showers which fell at the intervals made it feel still colder. But as the wind was high and the veering round to the north, we knew the day would be fine, for the scripture statement still holds good in scriptured lands. Okay, so there again, he's claiming Syria as scriptured land. So he quotes, fair weather cometh out of the north. So he's quoting Job. A few minutes ride down the rocky slopes of the ridge on which Suade stands brought us into the plain of Bashan, properly so called. I had heard much of its richness. I had heard of the wonderful productiveness of that deep, black, loamy soil, of the luxuriance of its grass, and of its teeming crops of grain. But up to the moment I first set foot on it, I thought indeed I was fully persuaded that a large amount of exaggeration must run through all those glowing descriptions. Now I saw that there had been no exaggerations, and that no part of Palestine could be compared in fertility to the plain of Bashan. No wonder the pastoral tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh made choices of this noble country, preferring its wooded hills and grassy plains to the comparatively bleak and bare range west of the Jordan, visible from the height of Moab. The plain extended in one unbroken expanse, flat as the surface of the lake, for 50 miles to the base of Hermon. Little hills, some conical, some cup-shaped, rise at intervals like islands, and over their surface and sometimes round their bases are scattered fragments of porous lava intermixed with basalt of a firmer texture, but the rest of the soil is entirely free from stones. On or beside these tell many of the ancient towns stand, and their black walls, houses, and towers, shattered by time and the horrors of war, often look in the distance like natural cliffs. The Roman road, which anciently connected Damascus and Basra, passing close to some of the chief cities of Bashan, lay a few hundred yards to the right of our path. Its line can be traced. Indeed, the old pavement is in many places quite perfect, as much so as any part of the Appian Way. And yet, in a ride of some 20 miles this day along that route, we did not see a single human being. The wayfaring man has ceased here, and the highways are desolate. Before reaching the town of Ari, could be Ari, about 8 miles from Suade, we passed 2 villages, and we saw 4 other little way up the mountainside, and on the left, all of which contain a few family of Druses, while away on the plain to the right, no less than 5 towns were in view in one moment, entirely deserted. The words of Jeremiah are surely fulfilled. I beheld, and lo, there was no man. I beheld, and lo, the fruitful place was a wilderness, and all the cities thereof were broken down, and the presence of the Lord, and by his fierce anger. Okay. The town of Ari stands on a rocky tail. It is about a mile in circuit, but there are no buildings of any importance, nor are there any traces of wealth or architectural beauty. It appears to have been a plain country town, which became the seat of a bishopric about the 4th century, as we learn from the old ecclesiastical records. We had ascended the hillside and were quietly occupied in examining the ruins of what seemed to have been a church, when a party of the inhabitants came up, headed by their sheik, and invited us to accept of their hospitality. They would take no excuse. It would be a disgrace to their village if they would permit us to pass. It would be an insult to their chief if we should attempt it. They entreated as Abraham would have done at his tent door or Lot at the gate of Sodom. We entered the sheikh's house, and while coffee was being prepared, the whole household, in fact, a great part of the town, got into a state of commotion. A woman came into the apartment with a large copper vessel in her hand, took a measure of flour out of the huge earthen jar in the corner, poured on water, and commenced the process of kneading unleavened cakes. A moment afterwards, we heard a confused noise of crackling and screaming. Then a flock of hens flew in terror past the open door, followed by a troop of women and boys in full chase. We saw they had resolved to make us a feast. The flocks were at a distance, and it would take hours to obtain a lamb or a kid. Okay, so that's the second time, y'all, he didn't refer. Remember, this was written in 1865. He used the word lamb and kid synonymous. So meaning you should not be calling your children baby goats or lambs. All right, so anyway, lamb or kid, fowls must therefore serve as a substitute. We were fully aware of the dispatch of Arab cooks and that in this respect they were not surpassed even by the patriarchal. But our time was too precious to be wasted in mere ceremony, however interesting. Firmly but respectfully, we assured our worthy host that we must proceed at once to Basra. To the evident regret of the stately sheikh and the unbounded astonishment of crowds of his people who gathered round us and who could not understand how it was possible for any polite or respectable person to decline pro-offered hospitality, we mounted our horses and rode off. Okay, so let me pause and get it. I thought that was just interesting, just throwing out a few little things that it is true that, you know, when you go to those Arabic nations, even in Egypt, because we know there was a lot of mixing going on up there to the Egypt we know today, the Egypt in Africa, what they're calling Africa. It really is considered an insult when somebody is offering you a cup of coffee or tea for you to decline. You know, we were told that throughout my travels. So I just found that interesting that he was able to say the same thing back in 1865. And the Arabic coffee that I had was nasty as hell, yeah. It was so damn thick and strong, but nonetheless, it is considered impolite to turn down someone's hospitality. All right, so our route lay near the base of the mountains of Bashan, which rolls up in the dark. I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
What page you on?
Oh, 68. Dang, I didn't know I had boogied that much. I'm literally on the top of 68.
No, I had to download it again.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes that happens to me. I don't know why. So I've been like leaving it up on one of my computers so I won't have to, because you know when you download it, then you have to scroll all the way back up to where you left off. All right.
I'm with you.
Okay, cool. Our route lay near the base of the mountains of Bashan, which rose up in the dark, frowning masses on our left, most of their conical peaks wooded to the summit. Caleb, the highest of the whole range, was in full view, its top covered with snow. Low spurs here shot far out into the plain, having between them rich vales covered with luxuriant pastures. through the midst of each valley. I guess that's valley, huh? Anyway, between high, what is that? Alluvial banks, now flowed a tiny winter stream, passing the village of Manjamir and Wetr. This is Wetr. So wet here. We gained the crest of a ridge commanding a noble view over the plain southward. We drew bridle for a few minutes to examine more minutely this magnificent panorama. On the west, south, and southeast, the plain was unbounded. Every section of it to which we turned our eyes was thickly dotted with large towns and villages, yet with the exception of a few spots near us, there was no cultivation, and we did not see a single tree or bush on that vast expanse. Muhammad pointed out the more important cities. Due southwest, some 5 miles distant, a broad black belt extended far across the green plain. In the midst of it rose the massive towers and battlements of a great castle, while other towers and tapering minarets shot up here and there. That was Basrak, the ancient stronghold of Bashan, the capital of the Roman province, and the first city in Syria captured by the Saracens. We saw Jamarin, Kiris, Bird, Gossam, and a host of others on the right and left, all deserted. Low in the valley on the southeast lay the widespread ruins and the ancient colossal houses of Kirath, one of the oldest cities of the plain of Moab. So he's quoting Jeremiah. While away beyond it, on the horizon, rose a grateful conical hill, crowned with the castle of Salca, which Joshua mentions as the eastern limits of Bashan and the kingdom of the giant Og. Okay, so he's quoting Joshua family. Okay, so there go Og mentioned again, because remember Og was the last of the giants of his kind. Okay, because Og was taller than Moses and them. Okay, because that Moses bloodline, Noah and all of them, because Noah was known as being a giant. Noah's great-great-grandfather, Enoch, was known as the giant, but Og was even bigger than them, and Og was known as the last remaining. A titan. There you go. A titan. Absolutely. He was a titan. Okay. All right. So this southern section of Bashan is richer in historic and sacred association than the northern. I look at it now, spread out before me with feelings such as I cannot describe. Those large deserted cities, that noble but desolated plain, the whole history of the country for 4,000 years from the, I cannot make that up. Brother Sean, what does that say? The Rephaim, and didn't we say that's the giant, the Rephaim down to the Osmanlis? I would love to know what that word represents. Osmanlis. Is written there. The massive dwellings show the simple styles and ponderous workmanship of giant architects. Jewish masonry and names. Now, let me just read that again, y'all. Let me get a sip of water because I want to be clear.
You know why you getting your water? So the story I remember about Og the Amorite king, Saul was charged to kill him in the beginning. Because when they took down the Amorite kingdom, Saul didn't kill him like he was told to do, and so he spent the night with his wife. And so Samuel ended up killing him. If I remember the story about the Amorite king, and I'm looking at Wikipedia, and it says the Amorite king Og was described as the last of the remnant of the Rephaim.
Yep, the Rephaim, which is another. It means giant. Rephaim is. It was explained in some other material that we brought in. It was a type of a giant or classification of a giant. So I'm sorry, sis. Go ahead.
And the Rephaim, according to Scripture, was also the fallen ones, the fallen angels. So they came from heaven or wherever they were kicked out of because they had a disagreement with the principal power of the universe, and said they were kicked out. So the Amorite king was killed by Samuel in the book of Samuel. So now I also heard that Syria, or they call Syria over here. And so if you go to Cusco, which is a word you kind of use that's really close to that word, Cusco, that's in South America. And they have the remnants of the giants' dwellings down there. They do have them. And I know they have that platform over there in on the other, but they have these super gigantic barracks, and they're made out of marble stuff, this palace and all that kind of stuff. Now that's what David took control over too, because his temple is down there as well. So I'm thinking there's a little issue of where we are actually at, because Syria was called Syria over here, and they moved it over there.
Right, and it's interesting that you say that, because remember, I never disputed that it could be over here or over there, because we do know that a lot of stuff over here. Hell, I just found out today, I need to finish it up, Medicine Man put out a video, part 5, that they got the damn potato from South America. So Ireland and them, y'all can have several seats.
And the corn. And the corn. We know the corn. But I was tripping out on the little potato. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. The potato came from South America. So they were over there in Europe. They were starving, remember? Because all they had was a meat diet. And that's all they were doing.
Remember, they destroyed the land, though.
Huh?
I said, remember, they destroyed the land because King James had to issue a decree to stop them from cutting down the trees. So, they was over there starving. That's what happens when you terraform the land and you're not in harmony. But I was just tripped out to know that the potato came from South America. They called them tubers.
Right. And so back to the story, Noah, after the flood, landed over there on Mount Ararat, and he started cultivation, what they call it, husbandry. He was the first one who did the rice and all that other stuff over there for them. So they have remnants of him being there, because they said that's where agriculture actually got started at with him. So there's a lot of things that some of these people are leaving.
I don't think he started agricultural, but okay, if he may have started it for his group of people. But okay. All right, Noah, if you want to take credit for that, fine, whatever. But yeah, your point is well taken, sis.
It's just in the books.
Yeah. But me personally, I never dispute whether or not. This is what I think personally. Now, this is my 2 cents personally. I don't go by the Bible. I know the Bible for what it is for me. It's, allegory. It has metaphysics in it. It speaks of, cosmic events. And then it also has genealogy in there for a particular bloodline. Okay, so I take things from different sources, and most importantly, the source, which is myself, what resonates with me. And I would encourage anyone to do the same for yourself. As a matter of fact, that is what you're supposed to be doing. We are not supposed to be following anyone. But what I feel is that the fallen ones that they speak on, because if you go by these different texts, it was 200 of the fallen ones, and I've seen in texts where they call them the Raphaim, but it's spelled a little different, but it's the same exact thing. So why would they not have gone to different parts of Mother Earth? Why would they not have gone to different areas of the planet? So, to me, they were kind of all over, because remember, they were also blending in with the indigenous people of the land. They were marrying the daughters of these indigenous lands and having children. Okay, so that's the way I particularly look at that. But I want to read this point. Sorry, y'all. I know we went up the block around the point and all that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
Osmanlis, that's the original term for Ottoman.
Ah, really?
Mm-hmm.
I never would have known that. So from the Raphaim down to the Osmanlis is written there. The massive dwelling shows the simple style and ponderous workmanship of giant architects, Jewish masonry and names, Greek inscriptions and temples, Roman roads, Christian churches, Saracenic mosque, Turkish desolation, all are there, and all alike are illustrations of the accuracy and confirmation of the truths of the Bible. Okay, so in his defense, he kind of went through the history of the people or the entities that roam that particular land. But once again, now this is according to him, he's even throwing the giants up in there. So I find that very, very interesting. All right, so if you're following along, wait a minute, how the hell I'm on 64? Didn't I say I was on 68, Sean? How the hell is that 64? Unless I was cross-eyed up top. Oh, well, I don't know. I could have sworn I said 68. Okay, Basra. And judgment is come upon Basra. And he's quoting Jeremiah. I spent 3 days at Basra. There is much to be seen there, much of scriptural and still more of historical and antiquarian interest. And I tried to see it all. Basra was a strong city, as its name implies. Basra, fortress. Oh, okay, so Basra means fortress. And a magnificent city, and numerous vestiges of its ancient strength and magnificence remain to this day. Its ruins are nearly 5 miles in circuit, its walls are lofty and massive, and its castle is one of the largest and strongest fortress in Syria. Among the ruins, I saw 2 theaters, 6 temples, and 10 or 12 churches and mosques, besides palaces, baths, fountains, aqueducts, triumphal arches, and other structures almost without number. The old Bazarites must have been great men of taste and enterprise as well as wealth. Some of the buildings I saw there would grace the proudest capital of modern Europe. I wonder why, because it's basically the same people. But anyhow, it is a work of no little toil to explore Basra. The streets are mostly covered and in some places completely blocked up with fallen buildings and heaps of rubbish. Over these I had to climb, risking my limbs along loose stones. The principal structures, too, are so much encumbered with broken columns and the piled up ruins of roofs and pediments that one has great difficulty in getting at them and discovering their points of interest or beauty. And trying to copy a Greek inscription over the door of a church, I clambered to the top of a wall. My weight caused it to topple over. There he is, on somebody's doggone ancient ruins, tearing stuff down. Anyhow, just disrespectful. Anyway, my weight caused it to topple over, and it fell with a terrible crash. It was only by a sudden and hazardous leap I escaped, and barely escaped, being buried beneath it. And we were hourly exposed to danger of another and still more pressing kind. Basra had once a population of 100,000 souls and more. When I was there, it was whole inhabitants comprised of just 20 families. These live up. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
Can you tell me the timeline of what he's talking about? Again, what year was that he was talking?
This was written in 1865. So I'm guessing took him a couple of years to write this.
So, that's in the modern age, right? For all his churches and stuff to be 1865.
I would agree.
Because that means that giants were roaming this planet like in the 10th century and all that kind of stuff. And not how they tell us in schools that it was prehistoric times, giants and pterodactyls and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty recent.
Now, it's interesting, and sorry, family, I just got hoarse all of a sudden. Interesting that you say that, sis. I'm not trying to start no mess, but that whole mud flood community, that's what they say. They say that the timeline of the history that they are giving us
is garbage.
It's not correct. They're saying that the giants and all of that stuff was only like a couple of 1,000 years back. I've heard some say a couple of 100 years back, and it was a earth catastrophe that wiped the giants out and wiped out a lot of the population.
Exactly. Let me tell you why I picked that up. It's because the church age started with Constantine.
Yep.
And the churches, when Jesus came around, it was it was like at the first start of AD, right? And so the churches were up from him. They were having them in their homes, and then they went into buildings and stuff. But so if that's the first AD, not BC, then the 1865 would put us closer to where we are right now.
And I'm going to even go a step further, sis, because one or two people in that mud flood community, and forgive me, y'all, I can't remember which one of you said this, but it was two people that I can remember. They said, really, you need to drop the one in front of like the 1900s, the 1800s, because
I thought
really,
you had to drop 600 years. I heard it was 600 years you got to take off the timeline. Right now we're in the 1400s. That's what I heard, because you have to drop off 600 years.
And they say drop that one in front, period.
Yeah, you could do that too. It's 1,000 years.
They're saying that the one really meant I. So if they're saying 1865, that was really 865.
Mhm.
So that's interesting that you bring that up, sis. That's very, 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 very interesting.
Because if you're following, he's saying there's churches, there's temples, there's this, there's that. Well, the temples changed into synagogues in 6 AD, and the churches was right after 70 AD, because that's when the Romans supposedly conquered Jerusalem. So something's wrong in the timeline there.
That's interesting, sis. See, I wouldn't have known those exact dates on when stuff changed over. So that's interesting, and it's a lot more recent. In other words, it would be a lot more recent than what they are saying.
Well, when I was looking at was the King drop, we still have dragons flying, and then they say dragons are ancient, but they still are flying because they have cameras taking pictures of them, video, photography. So, who's fooling who on this timeline?
Very, very interesting. Okay, let me see. Purple Peel in the chat room says the Bible age started with Constantine. He spelled it different too. What calendar are you using? There are different types of calendars. See, I don't know that, Purple Peel. I'm only reading about the book, sweetheart. So please enlighten.
Gregorian calendars he's talking about, and I know what he's talking about because I don't know when the Caesar Augustus, I guess it was, they started naming things after him, in the calendars and stuff like that. So how long ago was that? So it's really recent, all this history. Because that one guy said they didn't start colonizing Africa until 1865.
Right. Okay, so that answered that on the calendars that she's referring to. So then Purple Peel goes, according to Hebrew, the timeline is 5779. Yep. According to Hebrew.
Yeah, right now we're in, I think, 5779. Let me look. I have a calendar here. I'll tell you where we at.
Okay. Yep. Shout out Purple Peel. You're right. According to Hebrew, that is.
We're in 5779. Exactly. We are.
Yep. Okay. So Be Wise as Serpent says, y'all, that's right, y'all. Keep on dropping this. So I'm gonna check back in when I sip my little water. To come see what y'all putting up in the chat. So Be Wise as Serpent goes, dragons are what evolutionists called dinosaurs. You better stop now. Go ahead on. Dragons are what evolutionists called dinosaurs.
Yeah, but
simply put, solar or lunar calendar. Okay.
Right.
Very, very good point.
But the Leviathan was the dinosaur. The dragon's nemesis, and so I guess we all changed the dinosaurs into dragons. I don't know how that worked, They just put them dragons up there, but they are dinosaurs.
Or is it the other way? It's the other way around.
That's the other way around. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah. The dinosaurs are the dragons.
Yeah.
Y'all bringing it. And I love the other comment you made, Be Wise as Serpent. Are we talking solar or lunar calendar?
We really, should be on the lunar calendar.
We should be on solar. I disagree. We should be on solar.
Well, if we're on 7 and 9, lunar.
Disagree. We're supposed to be on solar.
Okay.
And that's why everybody is all screwed up with the so-and-so timeline.
Well, you know, one of the things that they said in that inky book, that one tear out of their eye was 365 years. So we're screwed up, period.
Yeah, but and I say solar because you know, we can tell the exact ages or the precession of the equinox via the solar cycle. Okay, because, you know, that's me. Because lunar,
it comes with full moon.
I'm kind of biased with lunar. I'm kind of biased.
I think they count the full moon. I mean, the full moon as your lunar month or whatever. So that's how I think the lunar works, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so now y'all done set up and started something, but I like this. I like how these conversations go here because Be Wise as Serpent said we should be on lunar. I disagree.
Yeah.
Lunar equals feminine. Sun equals feminine. Be Wise as Serpent. You have to go back to see that the sun was worshipped as goddess. Okay, so lunar worship came afterwards. But now I'm finna throw something else in because Brother Sean always sending me some doggone videos, but that video was fire. Remember the video you just sent me on the TED Talk? Now, am I finna make this stuff up? Did they not have a lady on TED Talk? Blew my wig all the way back. And he'll pull up the name for you all, and you can go check it out yourself. She was talking about the shape of the earth and the shape. Yes, Be Wise as Serpents. The present calendar is lunar, i.e. Gregorian. Yes, absolutely, sweetheart. So this TED Talk video, this lady started talking about the shape of the earth and the moon's association. Yeah, Gregorian Be Wise as Serpent is the Vatican. Absolutely. So this particular TED Talk video, she was talking about where did the moon come from? Family, and it's TED Talk. Where did the moon come from? It's not going to be long. It's about 15-minute video. I about sat there and said, you got to be kidding me, Brother Sean. So she is, with the way she's explaining it to the crowd, she's going into all of these scientific, I calculated this, I calculated that, and I determined that the moon couldn't have derived the way they said it derived. Woo this, that, up the block, down the street, around the corner. Bottom line is the information that she was putting out is the same information that we have been reading, those of us that study and go within an ancient text of the moon being created out of a battle. Okay, so this is the story that she's explaining it, but she's doing it in such a way that she's not giving the sources of the ancient text have been given this information. She's talking about some calculation. Then she goes on to say that the earth cannot be shaped the way that we're being taught that it's shaped.
It's broken half.
And so she asked the crowd, do you want to see a picture, a depiction of how the earth is shaped? Brother Sean, what did she put up there? What depiction did she show?
Flat disc.
Yep.
Disc. She kept saying disc.
She kept saying disc. And I'm like, scratch head, wait a minute. So you on TED Talk, y'all just going to try to slip in there the ancient teachings, and you're going against the heliocentric model? Because that's really what she was doing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what she was doing. And slipped in the disc with the dome on top of it and all, y'all.
Well, didn't Dr. York say that it was a battle and all that kind of stuff? And the remnants, the Van Allen belt, they tell you in science the Van Allen belt is the remnants of Tiamat. Who's that? That's Mother Earth, ain't it?
Yep.
They just name it any names confused.
Absolutely. So, I highly encourage you, family, to go check out that TED Talk video. It's not going to be long, so I kind of emailed back Brother Sean. I'm like, did you hear what she said? You know, she's talking about like that, on the flat Earth thing. I said, and I don't think people picking up what she's saying. She just wasn't being controversial and absolutely saying it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
Just in bringing her up, where did the moon come from? There's been many ancestral teachings that speak of when the moon wasn't there.
Yep.
So the fact that we're following the lunar calendar
really
is
should
lunacy
say a lot
within itself.
It's lunatic that we're following a lunar calendar.
It's lunacy. That's why we're
Absolutely.
going through all the things that we're going through. We've even convinced ourselves that the moon can affect our emotions and our thoughts.
Yep. Moon worship, all of that.
I mean, as far as for a solar calendar, also, we are energy. We're before and beyond time.
That's
so
right.
So the whole concept of time is part of the matrix and part of the trap
it is.
and part of the fall.
Yes.
To begin with.
Agreed.
So the fact that we're still clinging to that, we limit ourselves in everything that we're able to accomplish.
Indeed.
Because we're basing it all upon time, upon numbers.
Right.
You know, I have to do this before this time. I have to get this amount of sleep because I have to be up and go to work. And then I got to go to work for these amount of hours. And then after that, I have to do this. Then I have to get back in the bed to get up and do the same bullshit.
Right. Over and over again.
Based on time. Right. Based in a time loop.
Yep, in a time loop. Absolutely. And even that yin and yang, that's even still a loop.
Yeah, because all of that, it's just symbolism.
Yes.
How do you symbolize infinite power? I mean, if all of this is an illusion and something that our energy is just using for experience.
Yeah, it's just an experience. Absolutely.
So
it's an experience in the physical and a lower realm. Absolutely.
And I just look at it from the aspect of how intelligent our ancestors were and the things that they created and accomplished. For people today to think because certain things are written that is the alpha and the omega.
The end all to be all.
Right, like it's the greatest accomplishment since the existence of time.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, look at what was accomplished without this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And also, as far as for what land is written about in any book, whether they switch the names and locations or whatever, none of that takes away the fact that the so-called chosen people in that book that everybody wants to be
mm-hmm.
were conquerors and invaders and on a mad mission, a holy war for their God. So to me, it don't matter which continent they on. They some foul motherfuckers.
Right. True that. True that.
And the word Hebrew means him from the other side, or, them from the other side. So, I mean, people from the other side, whatever. Either way, it's other side. So, if you saying you're a Hebrew, you saying you from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
If you saying that everything that took place in the Bible is here, and you're saying you're a Hebrew, you saying you from the other side, so you saying that you're actually from over there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all at the wordplay.
Yes, it is. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's why people shouldn't just be running around calling themselves stuff, and you don't even know what you're calling yourself or why.
That's right. Putting
if you know
labels
this book
and
got
cursing
levels,
yourself.
If you know this book got levels and it has to be decoded, why do you keep grabbing at every little nugget that's given to you? First you were a full-blown Christian in church. Now you're a Hebrew Israelite. Now next you this, all because the Bible said so.
Right.
But you say it in a book of contradictions when you changing characters and changing nationalities and this, that, and the other, just like King James and them did.
Yep. Ooh, be wise, the serpent is cutting up. As you were talking about language, Brother Sean, be wise, the serpent in the chat room was actually throwing out some etymology, breaking down some stuff. Nightmare. Mare is the dark side of the moon. Marriage. Mar plus age. And then Purple Pills was just saying, deep brother, be wise. And then everything Hebrew derived out of ancient Kemet. Yep. And be wise as serpent goes, especially those so-called Moors. The term Moors is a curse. Now, be wise as serpent. You know you done took and told and started and started some shit now. So, great segue. I have a video I want to share with the family. Brother Sean pulled this one, and our brother Seven Bomar put this one out, and I absolutely love it. I'm going to work to get that brother back on the show to join us for a night. He knocked this one out the park. It's called The Pitfalls of Priesthood. So this fits perfectly into what we're talking on right now about these languages and putting these titles on yourself, and what you're really not inner and overstanding when you do these things, what you are really doing from a spiritual perspective. So I'm going to play this video. This is by Brother Seven, and it is called The Pitfalls of Priesthood. Absolutely be wise as serpent curses. And it's only about it's under 9 minutes long. I'm telling y'all, it's well worth it. I'm going to play this and I'll be right back.
it's probably, in a sense, a specific territory of the astral plane, right? So let's say, for instance, this whole territory of the astral plane is under the priestcraft, right? And then let's say you're in it, but then you figure out how to emancipate yourself, and so you jettison out of it, right? And then so now you're over here, and then you're looking back in there, and there's probably people that you want to help, but in order to help them, you need to not only go inside of here, which now all of these deities are going to be trying to kill you or convert you. And this is why you probably don't find people going back in and trying to help people even on a spiritual level, because once you get in there, you now have to run the proper scenario to actually get this person to wake up. And so how long is that going to take? Like basically, if you try to go in there and look, the whole entire structure is being controlled by a priestcraft that connects Jesus, Moses, Enlil, Enki, all these individuals, Cain, the kings, the Britons, the Jewish, all these people are all, and and you're like, hurry up because they're on their way. And this is kind of like the whole Matrix movie. Because once you get in the Matrix, you only got a certain period of time before the agents start coming. And the Smiths are the builders. They're the masons. So it's like that priestcraft knows when you're outside, right? And then when you come inside, and they're like, okay, danger, danger. We just had a benevolent break into Sector 9, and they're headed. And they know where you're going, right? It's almost like if you break out of jail, they stake out at your house, and because they're like he's gonna come home at least to see his mother, or they go to your girlfriend's house, and then like he's gonna come here, watch, and then how this works on a spiritual level though, not just physical, is that they go inside of her, because remember she's still a part of the priestcraft, and it's like, you're a part of the priestcraft until you disavow. It's not even if you say, I don't believe in any of that junk, until you actually start living a life that is literally pushing and propelling you in the opposite direction, you're already rolling the priestcraft. Because even if you say you don't believe in any of that junk, your mom or your dad already set the status of where you were at last. So it's almost like your last set of paperwork says you do believe in this. And you're just another kind of tool. You're not necessarily have to be in the church and in the temple. We're using you basically as a filler to the environment. But when you make the actual decision to emancipate yourself from it, you will be ejected from wherever you are, especially if you're in one of these countries where the whole structure is the entire priestcraft. And then when you get in there, you'll have to move in mysterious ways. It almost be like you're cloaked. And they can't really see that you're actually there or in that kind of behavior going on. Real cloak and dagger type shit is what I'm saying. It's like, it's a real thing. It's not so much as kept on the hush-hush though. Like a lot of people say, oh, this is just hidden, it's going on in the back. No, it's not. It's just so commonplace now. We've gotten so used to doing it that we don't even recognize that we're involved in it. And this is with most people. They're so used to the Jesus thing or the Islam thing or the God thing or the president thing or the king thing or the guru thing or the Hindu thing. And then anytime they seem to always jump out of the frying pan into the fire. This seems to be the Kundalini awakening, seems to accompany a person going in the hands of the deity. Because if you really think about it, what is now the world doing the most with their spirituality? They're going into the Eastern tradition, namaste, and then they get in there, and then the most devout of them end up going deeper, and now they're a guru, or now they're talking the Jupiter shit, or now they're getting involved in just these continuous traditions, even Buddhism. The priestcraft is lacking because none of these religions that are designed here on earth are designed to get a person out of it. It's designed to put them deeper into it. And this is again, it's like, it has a lot to do, when you rewind it again, these bodies. Because in the pyramid, and why the pyramid has 5 sides, and the quintessence and all that, what we were talking about, right? Because what you were dealing with in the beginning is you're dealing with that in the beginning, in the Genesis, let us create this body. And then let's put these spirits inside of this body. Let's trap them inside this body. And this is what you get in the ancient Egyptian text that's missing from Genesis. It says, bring the souls, we have the vessel. So, and then a vessel or a vassal is a servant. So it's like the body sticks a person into the vehicle that corresponds with their system. And they're such masters at their system, there's no one that has a body that they're not aware of and what that person is doing with the body, right? And so then that's why the key became to get out of the body and to understand how to do that. And so I believe that it's possible that spiritually advanced people are actually not inside of their body. The body may be animate, but you may be like standing over here. And this is kind of this may be a credit to the only reason why you have enlightened thought, you think different than the hive, etc. Because you're remote controlling the body, right? But you're not the body anymore. You're like out. You're not trapped inside of it, but you're still tethered to it in a certain sense, right? Like it has a magnetic attraction because it's still in the shape, in the form of something that you recognize, right? But because you've removed yourself from it, it allows you to actually be just like if you had removed yourself from this prison. It's actually like refamiliarizing yourself with how to operate outside of the body. And just getting familiar with the entire dynamics of how that works. So it's like, where's my memory? Oh, okay, so this is what memory is here. And then the memory here being somewhat of a plagiarization of how your memory works there. So you kind of have an innate knowledge of how it works, but still needing to develop it, like to ride a bike or without training wheels, etc. Once you get to this level, if you happen to get the knowledge in the wrong order, you're just going to become a priest. It's so designed that way. It's like someone that has been working to just gain spiritual power, and then all of a sudden the door opens up, and then the deities are like, come on, and you're like, yes! And then never realizing you're walking right into a necro trap with necromongers. And now your vessel is just joined in with there's nothing now unique about you anymore. And this is what people, I think, are not realizing, is that once you get inducted into one of these priestcrafts, you're no longer unique. And that's what they're actually trying to remove from you. That is the seed. And then now that you've taken in the priestcraft mold, you're not even unique anymore. Even though they'll make you feel like you are, so you can exert that kind of energy so that other people can say, I want to be like him. I want to be a guru. I want to be a priest. And then they end up taking on that same mold, and the same thing happens to them. So this is like a virus, this spiritual thing is what I'm saying. Is that, and it's so tricky. If you graduate level 1 Anubis, then you'll be at level 2 Thoth now. And Thoth is a lot more divisive at being able to take apart your mind, because you're not fleshly anymore, which is Anubis.
Okay, family. So that was Brother Seven Bomar, Pitfalls of the Priestcraft. He put that out in 2013. I should have grabbed. Oh, that was Masterly Fool. Wasn't that Masterly Foolish, Brother Sean? That put that out. Chopped up that. Oh, that was 7. Okay, so off of his Inner Standing. Yeah, so check out his work. The brother does great work. But when Brother Sean sent me that, I thought it was very timely to what we are discussing, because I don't care how far we go back, around the corner, up the block, up the street, no matter what label you try to use, no matter how many kingdoms you say the melanated people ruled and who did what to whom, bottom line is, if you are who you say you are, which is a divine being, a creator, you're not supposed to be following and attaching yourself to any of those things. You are supposed to be remembering those particular experiences or remembering those particular events to see how it was just a cyclical thing to keep you cycling back into a particular matrix system that is built upon ciphering others' energy. So that's why I'm always, pretty much a stickler about, not following anyone's doctrine, not, labeling myself on to any of these labels for that very reason. Because I enter and overstand when I am placing those labels upon myself, then that means I am putting myself in someone else's priesthood. Okay? And I see this a lot with the conscious community. I see a lot of people that come out of the church, but then they gravitate into spirituality, but then they pick up some other form of worship. So rather or not that be the route of, we are the aliens, we are the Cometans, I'm going to call up and worship these different deities, I'm going to do Yoruba, whatever the case may be. I enter and overstood, well, what's different from that than being in Christianity? You're still calling on something outside of yourself. You're still going up under a priesthood. So how are you really going within and remembering who you are and who you say that you are? And that's why I always keep saying that folks running around here talking about sovereignty really do not enter and understand what that truly means. Because sovereignty starts within the mind. No one can give you sovereignty on paperwork. No one can give you sovereignty through a priesthood. Either you are who you say you are or you ain't. You're not ready. And that's okay. But just enter and understand that there's cyclical things that happen when you go under these priesthoods. You're going to lead yourself right back to the same shit. To the same exact feeling. Okay? So thank you, Brother Sean, for sharing that. I did want to throw that in there. All right, now where the hell did we leave off?
Hey, sis.
Sorry, go ahead, brother.
But, the whole physical thing, period. Like he was saying, and even in every quote-unquote religion, the end game is to go to heaven or wherever. That means to eventually leave the body.
Right. And you say that all the time.
But everybody's so focused on somebody coming to save them.
To save them, absolutely.
Giving away their power where you just, let's say with the Sky family, Let's say some of them had been here back in the day. You know, this the where everybody came and kicked it, this Big Mama house.
Right.
You leave, you come back, you see quote unquote white people, Native Americans, Jews,
right.
Hebrew Israelites, all these weird motherfuckers up in Big Mama house. You like, what the fuck? Who is you? Why is you in Big Mama house? I mean, what the fuck is going on? Hey, get on from there. What is you doing?
Right. Don't be putting your feet on her MFing couch. Right.
And then you wondering where Bo and them at. Where the fuck Bo at? Who the fuck let y'all in here? Why are you here? What the fuck going on? Where Big Mama? I mean, but
yep.
I look at
Agreed.
the thing with these maps and so-called written history. Our ancestors, us reincarnated, been here billions of years.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have to sit up and label every goddamn thing because we were all one. We didn't have to label stuff. We didn't have to make maps of mama. It's your mother. I mean, who the hell sits up and draws a map of their mother's body in order to figure out how to get around it? So, just like they show you in the movies, this, that, and the other, and what they do with every motherfucking thing. These motherfuckers touch anything. They got to break out a camera or a pencil and paper and document it and this, that, and the other. Oh, when I hit the ant mound, the ants came scurrying out. Motherfucker, you destroyed their home. What the fuck do you think they was going to do?
Exactly.
That's not a scientific discovery.
Right. Right.
But I digress.
Indeed. Purple Pill in the chat room says a sovereign is also a silver coin. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there you go. There, again, we talk about etymology. Okay, so sovereignty, silver coin. A sovereign is the silver coin of old Bohemia. Okay. So
Bohemian Rhapsody, Bohemian Grove.
Yep, it's spells. And Be Wise as Serpent again says most spellings are done on paper. Absolutely, because remember, I don't know if you know how old you are, and I just had this conversation a couple of weeks ago with someone how they stopped teaching cursive handwriting in school. Now, John, you and I know, did we not write in cursive back up in the day?
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Weren't you taught how to write in cursive? And all of a sudden, they stopped teaching that in school. Okay?
Learned how in the first grade.
Exactly. Absolutely. The part of the spells and the traps, like we keep telling you, is through the language, written and verbal. And that's the part folk do not want to let go. They do not want to let it go. All they done with the you now Purple Pill, you straight read my mind because I was finna get up on that dollar. I was just finna get up on that dollar. You literally felt that wave come across. Yeah, look at the dollar on paper. If you examine that dollar, it's so many spells and curses associated with it. It would just blow your mind. People killing, raping, robbing, stealing, building nations, tearing nations down over a fucking piece of paper that somebody placed a spell on. You are capable as a divine being of breaking any spell with your thoughts. You don't even have to write it down. But that's if you are who you say you are. You're not going to get those things in a book. You're not going to get those things in a guru. Those things come within you. You don't need a book of spells from brother this and sister that. You create things. You create your reality. You exist across multiple realms and cosmos. If you are who you say you are. So, all right, I'll step down off the soapbox. Okay. All right, so here we go. So his ass then crawled up on some of these doggone artifacts.
I'd like to say something.
Sure, sis, go ahead.
Our enemy is curses, religion, and curses. When Brother Kalai puts his camera on the night sky, and he has a video where he can see the energy, for lack of a better word, of departed people, and they all look alike. You can't tell one race, color, gender from another. They all streaking across the night sky and having a good time at going. So we have a dome that's over us, and we have a body that contains us. So we need to understand that the enemy is not the body or the spirit they're in, it's the matrix programming. Because there is no different when you look up at the night sky and see those spirits streaking across. You can't tell who they are. You can't tell at all. You don't even know where they came from. All you know is that they're streaking across the night sky. And it was really impressive. The military has the same kind of gargles that he obviously, and they can see it. They see it. They know it. They know this happens. That those that look, and they're taught, well, just look at what's in front of you and don't look up. So the problem is those who don't see or don't understand that you're no different than anybody else, or every spirit looks alike, because we're all electric. We're all made out of electricity. We're positive and negative ions. We're frequency. We're vibration. We're not religion. We don't have any faith. We shouldn't have any cultural differences. We're all the same individuals according to what they show when people leave this realm in the night sky. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up, sis, because thanks to Brother Kalai, I don't have nearly the equipment that he has, but I'll go out every now and then and just take pictures of the sky with my camera. And you're absolutely right. You're going to catch that different energy. And I was so happy one time I caught a energy soul ascending upward. And I know Brother Kalai has shared pictures of the energy souls coming down and the energy souls going up. And that's just one example. That's not to mention what's going on in the clouds and all of that, and the sun and the gateway, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I'm so strong. Although we talk on these subjects of the giants and of the black nobility, I never want us to lose sight of who you truly are. But I can't make you believe that. You have to know who you are. And that's why I'm always going to tell you, you have to go within. Because we are at yet another important cycle where mama is cleaning up. So what do you want to do? You want to go under somebody's protective gang and be their slave at the end of the day? Or are you who you say you are? That you can stand within on your own, because you know that you cross across multiple verses, multiple universes. But if you can't clearly stand there within your ownness, within your oneness, and your own power, if you have to latch on to someone else or something else, and that's okay if you're not ready. Don't get me wrong. That's okay if you're not ready. But enter and understand that there's consequences to that, meaning you're in their house, okay? Because there's houses to this thing. You don't believe me? Go look at the series American God. And it's all this, it's really talking about, and I'm even behind. I haven't even gotten to season 2. I got to get caught up. But based on what I saw, what'd you say, Brother Sean?
Money is an American God in that series.
I wouldn't deny it. Absolutely.
I mean, they talk about the gods of old and what the American gods of today are. The media and
yep.
Yeah, TV, money.
Yep.
Materialism.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're just going under someone else's house. That's all. That's all you're doing. But it's still a part of the matrix. And you, if you are who you say you are and know who you are, you span beyond the matrix. Literally, you do. But you have to know that you do. So know thyself is extremely, extremely important, because when you don't, anybody can come and tell you anything. And that's what's been happening to people on Mother Earth, the quote planet, is whatever these energies, these demigods who feed off of others' energy, the houses that they represent, the energies that they put out to attract you to their flame, folks buy into. Well, yep, that's who I am, goddammit. I'm a Moor, I'm a Hindu, I'm an Israelite, I'm a Christian. Okay, so you all those things, but you can't look in the mirror and really tell who you are? So, pay attention, family. We're not children anymore. You came here for this experience. You know, hopefully you tired of it. You know, like they say, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? And if you're not, hey, that's cool. Go on for the ride. But this is really elevation time. And folks running around here talking about their gods. Oh, okay then. Okay. Okay. So we're going to later get to a video. I'm going to get to a little bit more in the text, because I do want to end up with Brother Dr. Dilwood Blair did a powerful video on the concept of if you say you a God, act like a God. So we're going to get to that in a bit as well. Absolutely Purple Pill and Be Wise as Serpent. Purple Pill says they do tell us anything. Yes, anything, honey. Anything. I get so tired of labels and titles, and then people want to get an MF and attitude when you say, well, okay, blood, if that's what you are, fine, don't put that shit on me. Then they want to get an attitude, oh, you trying to deny, well, I can, well, whatever you say, boo. But that's you. That's not me. I don't worship Sky Daddy. I don't rep no gang motherfucking set. I know who I am. I stand in my own divineness. Okay? That's what called growing up is. I'm sorry. Go ahead on, Brother Sean.
It's basically like this. As long as they could throw people a tidbit of information, release all this information when the fuck they feel like it, because it's not like these people are coming across information that you wasn't meant to come across.
True that.
They let us argue about everything, even the Aboriginal thing. The bottom line is, you niggas still arguing and debating with each other about who y'all are while we kicking y'all motherfucking asses. You still ain't realized that this is motherfucking war. We don't give a fuck what you call yourself.
Yep.
Your ancestors knew exactly who the fuck they was when we came and kicked their ass.
Yep.
So you think we give a fuck about you finding out who the fuck you is? It's what you gonna do.
Right.
Not a goddamn thing but argue with each other.
Exactly.
And then when you do decide to fight, who you really supposed to be fighting? Because they didn't claim to be everything that you were.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, it's like, if it's about frequency, if it's about energy, it's about rising above all of this. It's about letting go.
Yes.
Obviously, that serves you no longer.
Yep, but people not getting that concept because they haven't, quote, quote, matured inwardly. They just really, really haven't, because it's still just, I just be sitting speechless where folks still running around talking about packages, you know, money, this, and that. I'm like, but you claim that you spiritual. What the fuck is you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So you ain't trying to go inwardly and truly use some divine power. You're just trying to get some shit and take over the same goddamn demonic system. And you think I want participation in the fuck shit. And we're telling you all that shit is over with. It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Either you're gonna rise your vibration or you stay in the motherfucking matrix. This shit ain't hard. You casting spells on your goddamn self. Because you want to put paperwork to it. You want to put labels on it. Because you don't want to stand in your own divine self. And that's cool too. Do you. Do you. Keep doing the same thing and think you finna get different results. So, Very, very good point. Very good point. Okay, so let's go with, let's see what dude was talking about. Basra, the 20-some families. Yeah, la, 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 la. All right, so he's talking about these come up from the desert with a few goats, sheep, and donkeys, and perhaps a horse, and they think they lurk gypsy-like about the fountains and among the ruins of the large outlying towns of Bashan, watching every opportunity to plunder an unguarded caravan or strip an unwary traveler or steal a stray camel. Okay, so he over here talking about the people that's inhabiting in the land now, like a so-and-so dog. Okay, well, whatever. The whole environ of Basra are infested with them owing to the extent of the ruins and the numbers of wells and springs in and around them. Our arrival numbers and equipment had been carefully noted, and armed men lay in wait, as we soon discovered, at various places in the hope of entrapping and plundering some strangler. Once indeed a bold attempt was made by their combined forces to carry off our whole party. Now, I do just want to say this throughout this book, and again, just for reference, this is Bashan and its giant cities. This gentleman who was sent on this expedition, he consistently throughout the book kind of throws shade at the people that are inhabiting the land at this point. So even he's using the logic, see, when my people had it, when my gang had it, and I'm throwing up gang signs, y'all can't see me doing it. I'm throwing up my fucking gang signs and do a little research on them gang signs too. It'll blow your wig back on what it ties to. When my people had it, we had X, Y. Well, nigga, why ain't your people still got it? If you all of that and a bag of chips with the motherfucking sauce to go with it, why ain't your people still have it? If you're all of that and a bag of chips, why every place that your people go, you get ran the fuck out of? The same behavior of associating yourself with a particular set, an ideology, a group, and not seeing the cyclical reincarnation trap things that happen just within that particular set. All right. We had fortunately taken the precaution on our arrival to engage the brother of the Sheikh as guide and guard during our stay. And to this arrangement joined to the fear of the Druze escort, we owed our safety. Okay, but if you all of that in a bag of chips, you the motherfucking chosen one. And your God is all that in the bag of chips. Why you need chasing them people to escort you through your sacred land, so you say? But you admitted that y'all took it from another group of people. See, this is the logic, family, and the doctrine and the spells that folks keep casting on themselves. All right, so true has time made the words of Jeremiah, the spoilers are come upon all high places through the wilderness, no flesh shall have peace. The words of Ezekiel, too, are strikingly applicable to the present state of Basra. Thus saith the Lord God of the land of Israel, they shall eat their bread with carefulness and drink their water with astonishment, that their land may be desolate from all that is therein, because of the violence of all them that dwell therein. And the cities that are inhabited shall be laid waste, and the land shall be desolate. Okay, so again, now he's quoting all of these biblical scriptures and applying them to the current people that is inhabiting at that time that land that he claims his God gave them. But now, if I remember correctly, didn't they motherfucking steal it from somebody else? Again, I'm going to go back to logic and the spells that we keep casting on ourselves when we associate and we join up with these gangs and these groups. All right, so the Sheikh of Basra told me that his flocks would not be safe even in his own courtyard at night, and that armed sentinels had to patrol continually round their little fields at harvest time. If it were not for the castle, he said, which has high walls and a strong iron gate, we should be forced to leave Bushra altogether. We could not stay here a week. The Bedouins swarm round the ruins. They steal everything they can lay hold of: goat, sheep, cow, horse, and camel. And before we can get on their track, they are far away in the desert. Okay, so he's saying that they stand up in them old shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I find that interesting. So them shit withstood. Now, you know, let's just think about that. Now I'm finna start some shit tonight. I'm finna start some shit. If your feelings get hurt because you're representing one of these sets, sorry, boo. Might as well click on off because I'm finna go in. So, did he not say he had tried to climb up on the Romans' motherfucking ruins and his ass fell down and that stuff tumbled down and almost killed him?
Yep.
But here, the Sheikh them, they still living up in and them motherfucking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And them stuff is older than them Roman stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay then. So now if we want to compare motherfucking gangs, whose gang was the strongest?
Right.
Oh, okay then. Okay. 2 or 3 incidents came under my own notice which proved the truth of the Sheikh's sad statement. One day when examining the ruins of a large mosque, the head of a Bedouin appeared over an adjoining wall looking at us. The Sheikh, who was by my side, cried out on seeing him, "Dog, you stole my sheep." And seizing a stone, he hurled it at him with such force and precision as must have brained him had he not ducked behind the wall. The Sheikh and his companions gave chase, but the fella escaped. One cannot but compare such scenes of ordinary life, of everyday occurrence in Bashan, with the language of prophecy. I will give it, the land of Israel, into the hands of the strangers for a prey, and to the wicked of the earth for a spoil. Robbers shall enter it and defile it. The land is full of bloody crimes, and the city is full of violence. And so he's quoting Ezekiel. Okay, so I'm still going to say again, if you're trying to apply this particular scriptural text to the people that were inhabiting the land back in the 1800s, so why would it not apply when your folks were getting your asses kicked up out of there? So why are you picking and choosing who this is applying to? And furthermore, that still does not negate the fact that your people took the land from someone else that was indigenous to it. So again, I say, Where's the logic in that? That's where the doctrine comes in. Representing under a particular set or gang. Okay, Basra was one of the strongest cities in Bashan. It was indeed the most celebrated fortress east of the Jordan during the Roman rule in Syria. Some parts of its wall are still almost perfect, a massive rampart of solid masonry, 15 feet thick and nearly 30 high, with great square towers at intervals. The walled city was almost a rectangle about 1.25 miles long by 1 mile broad. And outside this were large straggling suburbs. Oh, that's interesting. They used suburbs even back then. All right, so a straight street intersects the city lengthwise and has a beautiful gate at each end, and other straight streets run across it. Roman Basra or Basra was a beautiful city with long straight avenues and spacious thoroughfares. But the Saracens, okay, here we go with the gang representation here. But the Saracens built their miserable little shops and quaint irregular houses along the sides of the streets, out and in, here and there, as fancy or funds directed, and they thus converted the stately Roman capital, as they did Damascus and how do you say that word, brother? And Antique. I know I'm not pronouncing it right, y'all. I'm sorry, I'm tongue-tied. Into a labyrinth of narrow, crooked, gloomy lanes. One sees the splendid Roman palace and gorgeous Greek temples and shapeless Arab dukin, side by side alike in ruins, just as if the words of Isaiah had been written with special reference to the city of Moab. He shall bring down their pride together with the spoils of their hands, and the fortress of the high fort of thy walls shall he bring down, lay low, and bring to the ground, even to the dust. So he's Antioch. Yep, I had it in my head but couldn't say it in my damn mouth, y'all. Antioch, yes. Okay. So I'm going to say again. So now he's upset because the inhabitants of this land, Basra, then built over the Roman stuff, put their little houses on the side and all of that. I say again, were you upset when you came to the indigenous people that was before y'all motherfucking stinking asses and built your Roman and your Greek stuff over their pastures? And as far as whose stuff is still standing, don't seem like the Roman and Greek stuff stood all that long either. Because you just said a couple of pages above that Ox shit was still standing. The Sheikh and them was still chilling up in Ox and them stuff. So again, I'm going to say, where is the logic in that? It's indoctrination. Repping your set gang at every cost, even in the face of just simple logic. All right. So it might perhaps be as trying to my reader's patience as it was to my limbs, were I to retrace with him all my wanderings among the ruins of Basra, relating every little incident and adventure, and describing the wonders of art and architecture, and the curiosities of a tablet and dedicatory inscriptions on altar, tomb, church, and temple, which I examined and deciphered during these 3 days. Still, I think many will wish to hear a few particulars about an old Bible city and a city of so much historical importance in the latter days of Bashan's glory. To me and to my companions, it was intensely interesting to note that the changes that old city has undergone. They are shown in the strata of its ruins, just as geological periods are shown in the strata of the Earth's crust. Some of them are recorded, too, on monumental tablets containing the legends of other centuries. In one spot, deep down beneath the accumulated remains of more recent buildings, I saw the simple, massive, primitive dwellings. No, he didn't, y'all. He gonna make me cuss him out. He gonna make me cuss him the MFing out. Okay. In one spot, deep down beneath the accumulated remains of more recent buildings, I saw the simple, massive, primitive dwellings of the Aborigines with their stone doors and stone roofs. These were built and inhabited by the gigantic Emins and Rapham long before the Chaldean shepherd migrated from Ur to Canaan. All right, yeah, I got to take a little sip of water on that. Let me check the chat. See, it pissed me all off. All right. So, he's admitting, once again, that he sees the Aborigines artifacts. But you're going to throw primitive in there. But if their stuff was before your stuff, and you still see they stuff, and your shit is crumbling, and it was built after theirs, now whose is really primitive? And then once again, you are admitting who had the land first. All right, so high above them. Oh, and notice, I think this Emin must be another race of giants. So I'll take note to research that, or if Sister Brother Sean want to look it up while we're on the air to verify that Emin, E-M-I-M, is yet another race of giant. I'm assuming it is. All right, so high above them rose the classic portico of a Roman temple. So basically, y'all built on top of that shit. Shattered and tottering, but still grand in its ruins. Passing between the columns, I saw over its beautiful sculptured doorway a Greek inscription telling how in the 4th century, they threw out a number. The 4th century, the temple became a church and was dedicated to St. John. On entering the building, the record of still another change appeared on the cracked plaster of the wall. Upon it was traced in huge Arabic characters the well-known motto of Islamism. There is no God but God, and Muhammad is the prophet of God. Okay, so just stop and just remind the family. Here we go with the same gang representation. Now, you admit that your people were not the original inhabitants of this land. You admit that your people built on top of the Aboriginals people's structure. You put your motherfucking shit up. So now you have an attitude with the Arabic for building over your raggedy shit. Once again, I'm going to say, where's the logic in that? All right. One of the first buildings I visited was the castle. And on my way to it, I passed a triumphal arch erected as a Latin inscription tells us, in honor of Julius, perfect of the first Parthian Philippine legion. It was most likely built during the reign of Emperor Philip today, who was a native of Basra. Now, y'all, that's straight interesting. I'm going to have to research this Emperor Philip. I'll come back next week on that. That is really, really interesting. And the reason I'm saying that's really, really interesting, and let me just make this announcement. We're about to go in overtime, beloveds, that's with us in the chat room. You have about 5 minutes, so if you want to continue with us on the line. Sis got dropped off. Okay, sis, I just saw you. Sorry, sweetheart.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, when I'm reading, I don't have the board up. Huh?
I was sitting here waiting.
Okay. So if you want to continue.
The women are giant. The
women are giant.
Yeah, the Anakin and the Emin.
Okay. Okay.
This dude here who's wrote this
Let me make this announcement real quick, sis, because we're about to go overtime. Okay. So you got 3 minutes to join us. If you want to continue to join us, we're going into overtime, and the sound may shut down in the chat room. You have to dial 929-477-3858, 929-477-3858. You have 3 minutes, and if you're not going to join us, I have sincerely enjoyed you, Purple Pill and Be Wise as Serpents. You have dropped a lot of knowledge. I hope that you return and give us even more knowledge. Oh, damn, Purple Pill. So you just going to drop it up to the last little minute in the chat. Purple Pill drop. Dinosaurs versus Baphomet. You know I can't with you tonight. That's interesting. So if Be Wise as Serpent and Purple Pill, you can't join us in overtime on the phone line, I wish you well, peace and love, and please come back and see us again and join us again. Okay, sis, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You was finna tell us about
this guy here who wrote this stuff, he knows what's the lay of the world at that particular time, because they did in 1550. For 300 years, from 1550 to 1850, they were restructuring this planet, moving people from their own lands to other lands. And they were bringing the slaves, the Europeans, or the Europeans, Euro-Americans and the Europeans and the unfree servitudes, or the indentured servants. They were bringing them from Europe to Euro-Americans over here with us. They were taking us and shipping us over there. So now we all know that the Indians, the American Indians, are the mound builders. They know that. So they have St. Louis. They have really, really important structures that they called us primitive because they want to change the dynamics of history.
Right.
And he's working right into that structure and saying the peoples of this land. Well, you know who you put over there, because y'all guys were shifting the Iberians, the Spanish, the conquistadors in 1550. They're the ones who changed the face of the planet, moved us from South America, Central America, over to the West Indies to do the sugarcane or whatever plantations they had down there.
Right.
So they, out of South Carolina, and my phone's about to cut me off, and Boston and stuff like that, they moved us out of there so they can have it and say it's theirs. So the structures in St. Louis, which is great and wonderful, they buried them. They buried them in North America. They buried them They buried them everywhere, so nobody will know how great a people we are. And they changed the books. So when this dude is writing 15 years after this restructure of manpower all over the planet, for money purposes, for commerce, for slavery. This was a slave planet that the Iberian Spanish did. They did all that crap. It's in the history books. It's in the archives of the records of the United States and stuff, what they actually did. So I take exception to this dude talking about primitive. Anything was primitive is when they brought their little assets over here and then took over our title and our names as the indigenous people. That's what's primitive.
Indeed, sis. Now, what sparked me, I told y'all I had watched up on Netflix. Y'all know I'm country, so I throw in there, watched up on and all of that. Netflix, Versailles. And I told you it was about King Louis, his reign, and of course he was melanated with the motherfucking super fly hairstyle. I can't make that up, y'all. But anyhow, he had a brother named Philippe, and Louis was married to
Marie Antoinette.
His wife was a Spanish.
Marie Antoinette.
Spanish origins, okay? Now, I just found this out, y'all, which blew my wig back, that King James Stewart was his cousin. Okay? So, this really just threw me back when they're saying in the first Parthian Philippine Legion, it was most likely built during the reign of Emperor Philippe. So I'm thinking, wow, maybe that's who they named Louis' brother after Philippe. So I'll do a little bit more research on this Emperor Philippe.
Well, you know, we have Emperor Philip of Macedonia, which was Alexander the Great's daddy. And who was the leader of that part of the world for a long time before Alexander came up.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So this goes on to say that Emperor Philippe, who was a native of Basra. So notice, see, Brother Sean, didn't you just MF and SB earlier about that native versus aboriginal? You see how he's wording this motherfucking shit? Y'all think this shit is new? You think this labeling is new?
They change people all over the planet.
This ain't new. Now, he just said the giants in them. What did he call the giants in them? Aborigine.
He said it's aboriginal.
But then when he gets to Philippe, he's a native. Oh, where have we heard that shit before? It's the same script, family. It's the exact same script. All right, so Philippe was native of Basra. That he's not indigenous, he's native. All right, so the castle stands on the south side of the city without the walls and forming a separate fortress, was fitted at once to defend and command the town. It is of great size and strength, and the outer walls, towers, gate, and moat are nearly perfect, but the interior is ruinous. On the basement are immense vaulted tanks, stores, and galleries, and over them were chambers sufficient to accommodate a small army. In the very center of the structure, supported on massive piers and arches, are remains of a theater. Them Romans and Greeks love them damn theaters.
Mm-hmm.
This splendid monument, which are just a way to capture energy, by the way, family. Okay? So just so you know that from a energy perspective. Okay? That's all those theaters and all of that is. It's a way to get a high number of people in the same place. You put on an event and have them emit a certain type of frequency energy that can be harvested. Okay? So as I say, this shit ain't nothing new. Sports, all of that. We told you when we was doing the Black Nobility series that the Black Nobility was arguing over whether or not to let the people have they sports on Sunday. That shit blew me all the way back. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. None of this stuff is new, family. All right, so this splendid monument of the luxury and magnificence of former days was so designed that the spectators commanded a view of the city and the whole plain beyond it to the base of Hermon. The building is a semicircle, 270 feet in diameter, and open above like all Roman theaters. Okay? So now, no different than your football stadiums today. And some baseball stadiums have that opening like that also. And then some of them, have that dome on top. Okay, to capture that concentrated energy. Okay, so
Think
again,
about what you just said.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I
know.
What you just said.
Didn't I say a dome on top to capture that concentrated energy?
Yep, on the flat surface.
Exactly.
Flat Earth.
Exactly. As you play a role on the stage, and as you keep emitting your energy for these gang members, mass as religious sects or deities to cipher the energy. Now, I went to see the Avengers, the Endgame. It sucked. I didn't like it, whatever. But in one of the scenes, I just cracked the hell up, y'all, because they were getting ready to jump dimensions, and they were in this spaceship. And they show the scene with them going through the crystallized dome. And it was so quick, if you didn't know what you were looking at, you wouldn't have saw it at all. And I just sat there and cracked all the hell the way up. Okay?
Yeah, but
Endgame,
think about it, what they're telling us. People think that they got all this time for this, that, or the other. And you don't have as much time as you think you have. And if you think about the movie, in order for them to have had a winning outcome, Dr. Strange had to go through thousands of other timelines in reality.
Yes.
So that means that all timelines, all realities, and parallel universes, everything is into play right now. Playtime is over.
Yep. So, you better be going within and be who you say that you are, and stop repping under these gang sets. because it's not what you think that it is. And, you know, you're supposed to be at the stage of knowing. And you have that ability, but you have to tap in and you have to let go of the bullshit. So absolutely, Brother Sean. Absolutely. All right. Okay. I think this is where I was. This splendid monument of the luxury and magnificence of former days was so designed that the spectators commanded a view of the city and the whole plain beyond its base of Hermon. Okay, yeah, so I talked about the 270 feet in diameter. It was no doubt intended for the amusement. See, I didn't know I was going to read this part. It was no doubt intended for the amusement of the Roman garrison when Bostra was the capital of the province and the headquarters of a legion. Okay, so remember, I just told you that those are energy centers. So, you know, when folks are up in the house of the Lord getting their praise on, exuding out all that energy, to an altar, somebody's having a nice amusement and an enjoyment off of your energy. When you have these celebrities that call themselves stars on the stage in these Roman-inspired theaters, putting on a performance and having you throw up symbols and signs that you don't even enter and understand what they are, as they're ciphering off energy from you and sending it up to their God. Okay? All right. So the keep is a huge square tower rising high above the battlements and overlooking the plains of Bashan and Moab. From it I saw that Basra was in ancient times connected by a series of great highways with the leading cities and districts in Bashan and Arabia. They diverged from the city in straight lines, and my eye followed one after another till it disappeared in the far distance. One ran westward to the town of Gusham, and then to Edrei, another northward to Suede and Damascus, another northwest up among the mountains of Bashan, another to Keroth, and another eastward, straight as an arrow to the castle of Salkai, which crowned a conical hill on the horizon. Towns and villages appeared in every direction, thickly dotting the vast plain. A few of those to the north are inhabited, but all those southwards have been deserted for centuries. I examined them long and carefully with my telescope, and their walls and houses appear to be in even better preservation than those I had already visited. This has since been found the case to be for my friend Mr. Cyril. Okay, so it's some. All right, so they got a little inscription or footnote. I'm going to try to read this. The opinion, and this is at the bottom of this page, the opinion has been questioned by M. Ray, an accomplished French savant, I think that's what that, okay, savant, who in the year 1858 retraced my footsteps through Bashan and reviewed my 5 years in Damascus as he went along. I had the pleasure of meeting M. Ray on several occasions and was impressed alike with his gentlemanly deportment and accomplished scholarship. But being an intimate friend of M.D. Salsi, whose pretended discoveries in and around Damascus I had criticized perhaps a little too severely, I am not surprised that he should make an occasional attempt at retaliation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right.
Intimate.
So,
mm-hmm.
I ain't trying to get up in his bedroom business, whatever.
Hey, he put it out there.
Float your boat, bruh. That's you and whoever's little business, if that's a little case. So I'm just going to read this last sentence. This has since been found to be the case for my friend, Mr. Cyril Graham, visited them, penetrating this wild and dangerous country as far as M.L. Jamal, the Beth Gamal of Scripture, which I saw from Basra and to which I call his special attention. Beth Gamal is unquestionably one of the most remarkable places east of Jordan. It is as large as Basra. It is surrounded by high walls and contains many massive houses built on huge blocks of basalt. Their roofs and doors and even the gates of the city being formed of the same material. Though deserted for many centuries, the houses, streets, walls, and gates are in perfect preservation as if the city had been inhabited until within the last few years. It is curious to note the change that has taken place in the name. What the Hebrew call the house of the camel, the Arabs now call the mother of the camel. I cannot tell how deeply I was impressed when looking out over the noble plain, raveling in richness of soil, the best of England's counties, thickly studded with cities, towns, and villages, intersected with roads, having one of the finest climates in the world, and yet utterly deserted. Literally without man, without inhabitant, and without beast. So he is quoting Isaiah. I just want to say this. I find it very interesting that the Romans and the Greeks and even the Israelites take great pride in the structures of the buildings that they build using the material from Mother Earth more than they take of just the natural beauty of the land. Because in order for them to even build those structures, that means they had to excavate and terraform the land and chop down trees. And dig up minerals. So, me personally, I'm not impressed with none of that motherfucking bullshit.
Not at all.
When you start making these connections back to the universe, back to the land, you start to see the matrix for what it is. Where a paradise of truly nature in its original inhabited state was terraformed with some bullshit that can be washed away, earth shaken away at any moment. And just the mere fact that folk think that is more beautiful than the actual natural land it really says a lot of the vibratory state of folks. And it takes me back to the movie Avatar, where the invaders could not see the beauty of the land. Matter of fact, they didn't give a fuck. It was all about excavating and extracting the minerals for commerce out of the land. So this whole matrix experiment just shows you how far the consciousness failed and how the cycles of that low vibratory state just kept going on with the different empires, thinking they doing something with their monuments and their phallus statues that they were building, with their energy traps, with their theaters and their temples. It's all a spell and a recycling spell to keep everyone plugged in to the matrix to keep the fuck shit going. Okay? Only difference is, as we keep telling you all, the end game is here. Because now folks are not going to get to repeat that cycle of destructive, low vibratory state, because the body that we live in, she is a living, breathing organism, and she is waking up, and she's fed the fuck up. So she's going to be purging. Not going to be, she is purging. Okay, so that just goes back to, yet again, be aware of what you are putting your energy in, and these deities, and these gang sets masked as religion and spirituality, and this monetary system, because it's all going away. It is not natural. It is not in natural order. It is not of high vibratory frequency. And if you are rising into who you say you are, then you will enter and understand that. All right. So what the hell is he talking about? All right, talking about some finest climates, this and that. So I cannot tell with what mingled feeling of sorrow and of joy, of mourning and of thanksgiving, of fear and of faith, I reflected on the history of that land, and taking out my Bible, compared its existing state as seen with my own eyes with the numerous predictions regarding it written by Hebrew prophets. In their day, it was populous and prosperous. The fields waved with corn. The hillsides were covered with flocks and herds. The highways were thronged with wayfarers. The cities resounded with the continuous din of a busy population. And yet they wrote as if they had seen the land as I saw it from the rampants of Basra. The spirit of the omniscient God alone could have guided the hand that pined such prediction as these. Then said I, Lord, how long? And he answered, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolated, and the Lord hath removed men far away, and there be a great forsaking in the midst of the land. The destroyer of the Gentile is on his way. He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate, and thy city shall be laid waste and inhabited. And so he's quoting Jeremiah. Okay, so we're on page 71, what I want to do, because we're at 10:24, so I want to play Dr. Yeah, I want to play that. Okay, hold on, y'all. I want to just document where we are. Then I get on here next week, be like, where, Brother Sean, where were we at? All right. Okay, the video that I'm going to play is off of Masterly Foolish. I highly recommend that YouTube channel. They go out, they get a lot of great information, and if it's a long lecture, they chop it up into like 10, 15-minute segments that really give you a lot of powerful information in a short amount of time. I love the work that they do. So that YouTube channel is Masterly Foolish. This particular video is Dr. Dilbert Blair. Once you think that you are a god, you must act godlike. So let me pull this video. It's not that long, family. Bear with me. Should have had it up. Okay. Yeah, it's only 7 minutes long. So here we go.
You must awaken now. You are the melanin carriers on this planet. You were the original 12-stranded people, and you were given that privilege through a whole lot of work in time. It was not something given to you by chance. Because you fell from grace and sought to make better than your Creator, you suffered by that you created, and then also was brought to your planet that you created in a higher form. In other words, once you think that you are a god, you must act god-like, not sometime, but all the time. Because once a god falls short, there are so many things that are not god-like, just waiting to lapdog you up and tear you apart, that you're open then to the whole holocaust of the cosmos, not the faked holocaust on earth. The real Jews, as you found out, are you. The 13 tribes had nothing to do with just earth people. It embodied Lucifer Maldek, the exploded planet, which rained down upon you those lost souls, which destroyed a whole planet in your system that you helped sustain. Many of you are reincarnate Maldekians, Luciferians, and you probably don't even want to deal with that, but if it is truth, it will come back to haunt and vibrate. I'm style triggering all your opening points. We'll see which ones run with it. In the great role of play that is a planet, people are brought to it to learn and to show in physical embodiment, physical reality, in a lifetime, what they have learned in the heavens of earth. What they have learned on the spiritual and mental plane is of no value until in a time when given a physical body with physical challenges, you see what you can do really under pressure. Time and time again, some of these best people failed. And time again, as they failed, it lowered the vibration of the planet until the planet was put into a coma. Thank you. The planet now wants to awaken. It is almost awakened, and the more you begin to channel in successfully this new energy through your pineals, through your melanin, your energy fields will attract more and more of cosmic light. Let's put this another way. Our sun was nothing more than a step-down transformer. Some people call it, if you're into physics, a transducer. It is now a capacitor. It is a step-up transformer. Whereas at one time it filtered out great light and energy that came from deep space to our planet so that we could live under a sun. And you remember the saying, there's nothing new under a sun. And there isn't. In 59, it completely reversed its polarity, and now it is sending forth energy, augmented by the kind of what they call cosmic and gamma rays that are coming into it. This year, by this summer, you will begin to hear more and more about sunspot activities, solar prominences, perturbations, and how our sun is a deadly enemy about to annihilate us all because it is going to burn us up with X-rays and gamma rays. Not all of us. Not all of us. Some of us. And who are the us's? Whoever are the chosen. How are you chosen? You choose yourself by following the disciplines you know you should have been doing, not tomorrow, but yesterday. By doing the readings and the research and taking the time to spend in meditation, the things you thought you should have done 5 years ago, you start them immediately tomorrow. By not being threatened or coerced, you do because of the goading mechanism within your own spiritual consciousness. That's what you know you should be doing, as though a policeman was there or mother was looking, and you do better than both of those authoritarian figures because you are arising. Once you channel in that light, for every one of you, you're worth 1,000 of non-channelers because they're the dead. They will not awaken. You cannot wake for them. If you do not do that in mass, you will be subject to the technical prowess of a people who are soulless that now have control of this planet. And if you're ready to go up against them, I bless you. If you're ready to go up against them alone, I feel sorry for you. For you will learn a lesson that will stay with you forever. You cannot match them in their technology. Forget it. What you knew subconsciously, and what you know even as you hear the tone and tenor of my voice is true, is that some way or another you could raise a spiritual quality that could match that in some kind of way. You just didn't know how to go about doing it. And you know that you had lost something and you wanted it returned. You have that privilege now. AIDS and every other man-made deceptive agent to stop you from progressing physically and cause your journey of life to end quickly will only be thwarted when you can raise your vibrational rates enough where none of those things can exist within that contact field. And then those that met it and made it will meet out its suffering and suffer the same thing that they started. The planet cannot help you till you vibrate high enough to take the light. It's just that simple. Other than that, you will be destroyed just like those that are trying to destroy your planet once again.
All right, family. Again, that's off of the YouTube channel Masterly Foolish. That video was Dr. Dilbert Blair. Once you think you are a god, you must act God-like. I see Brother 832. I don't know how long he was holding on, so let me bring in Brother 832. Peace and love, Brother 832. Your line is open.
Rhonda! Sandra!
My brother.
Sisters from other vistas! Feathers up!
Feathers up.
Fools down!
Indeed.
With their demon partners. Sean, my brother, from another mother, on Mount
Indeed.
Olympus, throwing the black lightning bolts down tonight in the amphitheater. Let me throw 3 words because I might get bumped off again because the computer's been acting weird tonight. So maybe it's the cosmos and the gamma rays with Dr. Blair talking about. Omniscient, all-knowing, omnipresent, all-seeing, omnipotent, all-powerful. What are these godlike qualities that have been taught to us through these Caucasoid European demons enslaving and oppressing our autochthonous ancestors? You know? You've been using the word matrix repeatedly tonight, and I know you mean it in honoring the good Queen Sophia Stewart. But the intriguing thing is that there are white males, the Wachowski brothers, James Cameron, the author of Avatar, as you also pointed out, who someone else said, that, I believe it was Sophia too, said about how he stole the term avatar and did not understand its meaning, was ascended master. He just, you know how they are. When you're a thief, you know, you're in love with the idea of something, and you didn't create it, so you don't know what the hell it is that you love about it, but you're going to co-opt it. You're going to steal it. You're going to then transmute it. But even in your lying, you're telling the truth. Now, you notice in all the references, my mind is racing tonight listening to a lot of what y'all were saying. But this guy, that book that you're reading, you said it was dated in 1865, right? Which coincides with the end of the Civil War on our homeland.
Exactly.
Okay. In the yin and the yang, is it not the symbolism of, there's a lot of ways of looking at it, but it's partly, if you look at it a certain way, it looks like a spermatozoa. You know, like 2 sperms.
Yeah.
Then you've seen people who use a perverted version. They say it's 69. You know, 6 and a 9.
Yeah.
And then they want to put sexual connotations to it. You have half of it is painted as white. The other half is black. Then the eye or the dot that's in the head portion is the opposite color, right? Now, the white male has stolen the idea, the genius, and the creativity of the black female. I'm talking about the Matrix now again. All right. Have you seen Cookie Monster? I love Taraji, but have you seen her latest movie, Best of Enemies?
No.
That's the title of it. Best of Enemies was about how the sister that she characterized, when you looked at her at the end and they wrapped up the movie, looked a lot like Fannie Lou Hamer. I'm talking about it, you know, big black woman, you know, former sharecropper that was out there working literally of the land, of the soil. All right? And you know what that Mama Earth figure is, you know, the buxom woman, the big boned, big mama.
Exactly.
All right?
Exactly.
They go and show her elevate a former Ku Klux Klan Grand Wizard and how they become such great friends. Now, of course, you know, this is taking, what do they call it, literary license in the Hollywood realm. But here again, I'm using this, I'm rambling a bit here, but I'm using this to point out the analogy of the yin and the yang, about the black and the white male co-opting the black female. In this whole experience that we've had here of so-called chattel slavery in the United Snakes of America, you know, if you take something and it is in oppression and constant domination, where does balance enter into the equation, my sister?
It doesn't.
Now, this has been going on. We have to put a continuum, and Sandra's been asking this repeatedly tonight about a timeline. Let's just make it very simple. 1492, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue, you know, the lotto we've been taught. All right? From 1492 to 1992 is 5 centuries. Who was president in 1992?
Was that Clinton, or am I not
You
right?
got it.
Okay.
The Arkansas cracker. Do you know that there are some who say the only diamond mine in America is still based in Arkansas? Did you know that?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Like I said, I'm rambling a little bit here, you know, but it's just
That's okay.
there's a method to my madness now. The mound builders that Sandra referred to, that's St. Louis. You have a lot of reference to, what was it, those underground tunnels you had a conversation before when Wendell was doing the Book of Enki? He was talking about these massive tunnels where there's like the big heads, the big Olmec heads, and a lot of other, what could be considered giant statuary that is underground, subterranean.
Yep, a brother called in on Dr. Blair's show, confirming that he saw it with his own eyes. But
and these were tunnel and roadways that were there. They weren't built by the Caucasians.
Right.
They're already in existence. Just like you said about all these discussions that you're bringing up with these books, which, by the way, this man was using the terminology of the 1800s, right?
Yep.
Published in 1865. You didn't hear him say Jew, did you?
No, I did not. Yep.
Because their consciousness and their thought process was based on Hebrew Testament, Hebrew Bible, Hebrew Israelite, not Jews. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether we, come to some level of awareness and understanding. These Jews, they don't predate 500 years because the letter J doesn't exist first in the Hebrew language at all.
Right.
Second, it doesn't come into a connotation of the English language. The letter I turned into the J, like a fish hook created out of. Did not exist more than 500 years ago. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what you're pointing out by listening to this man talk what he's talking, steeped, as you said, repeatedly going back to Old Testament references, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But based on what, though? What is he perpetuating? He is perpetuating a white supremacist agenda. He is trying to project something out of domination. Now, these people, and again, I'm not sitting here haranguing white people, so-called white people. Again, remember, this is something you're calling yourselves, which is not true. It's not about me, beating you over the head with it. You're calling yourself that, and it's not true. Okay? But by calling yourself white, it requires you to define some people black, right?
Yep, the yin and the yang.
Their entire existence is based on dominating, oppressing, and denying the existence of black people, blackness, which irony of ironies. When all life, we already know, the basis of all life comes from darkness. The basis of all human life comes from melanin. Mm-hmm. The basis of all life on this planet is carbon-based. Don't get no blacker than that. But when you have an entire psychological structure, like you pointed out in the movie Avatar, and we joked about this the last time we talked about it, this fictitious name they gave up that mineral, you know what they called it? Unobtainium.
So you can't obtain.
No. But it's simplistic. It's simplistic in the stuff that they come up with, but it just shows you again how they have very limited creative ability at best. Okay? Even in the fact that they went and stole a matrix from the sister, their own court system that denies us the right to exist. There has been, in the turn of the century of 1900, just prior to coming into the first decade of the 1900s, there were over 200 court cases that raised to the level of the Supreme Court specific to our autochthonous Aboriginal ancestors, all denied. In the turn of the first decade of the 1900s, between 12 to 20 cases for corporate entities, a corporation, argued for personhood. It was granted. Now, I know you understand the irony of what I'm pointing out here myself.
Right.
You're going to take the original human beings and say they are not people. They don't have the right. Justice Taney said the black man has no rights, the white man is bound to respect. That's still incorporated in Supreme Court law of the land. Right? Plessy versus Ferguson, Dred Scott decision, This is codified from 1854 to 1896. So then the turn of the new century, they go then and give a fictitious entity that's a spell on paper, as you've already called out tonight. In God we trust, right? That's the basis of the corporation. Mm-hmm. They then grant personhood to a corporation that was extracted from the original human beings that were held in chattel slavery.
Yep.
That's undeniable. Now, of course, they deny it every day, especially when you're going to watch the evolution of this reparation bogus discussion. What's the latest count? What's the latest count now? 23 with de Blasio, the boring de Blasio, and 5 out of those have at least made a statement about reparations. And Bernie Sanders, talking about the epitome of hypocrisy, a multimillionaire socialist, said in regards to us, reparations would be problematic. Yet and still, he authorizes, as a member of the Senate, $4 billion a year to a foreign government. And that $4 billion, 90+% of it buys weapons of mass destruction from the American corporate. And I know you used to work in that space, right? So what was the message that you got from this guy? What is the intention of this book? Not just about the Giants, but what do you think he was given? Money, time. Imagine traveling in the 1860s. How much effort that was.
Right. Exactly. And this is the vast majority of what he's talking about is between Iraq and Iran, because I know Basra is a major city today in Iraq. Yep.
Iran is ancient Persia. Syria, Iraq, and Iran is the Persian Empire, the Ottoman Empire.
Right. Which now we learn were inhibited. The indigenous were the giants or the titans.
Okay. So we're going to talk through the eyes of the smallest. I'm using the analogy again from giant, from the Goliath to the eye of David, right? So we're going to listen to the tale from the Lilliputian. You remember the story about the Lilliputian?
I don't think I remember.
That's what Gulliver's Travels. Gulliver's Travels. Gulliver's Travels. Okay. So we're looking at the world through the Caucasoid European Lilliputians, who are trying to constrain through chains, through Willie Lynch letters, through mental, physical, psychological, psychic, and spiritual enslavement, the melanated titans. And even in abuse that we suffer on a regular basis, think about how creative we are that we cast away. One example, and it's very pitiful, it's very minute, is hip-hop. Hip-hop and rap music. And I'll wrap up with this, my sister, because I know I rambled a bit tonight, but my mind is just really, it's a maelstrom. And I'm just all over the place here. But when you said within, how much history predates written?
See, that's
written
what I'm saying.
Word.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, Chief Warhorse told you about the Choctaw, not Choctaw, CHOCTAW, the stolen version by the white $5 Indian.
Right.
The Choctaw, CHAHTA.
Yep, TA.
Went from the tip of Bolivia to almost the North Pole in Canada. Those are the mound builders that my sister Sandra was referring to.
Right.
One tribal presentation of them we call Washita, or the Empress Veridiace Gostin Turner Elvay. Okay. They were one formed tribe of this millennial tribes that is so ancient it can't be dated.
Right.
The pyramids of Giza are not maybe a blink in the so-called timeline that we have created now, because I don't know what version of time are we in now? We've gone from the Gregorian calendar, the Julian calendar, the Mayan calendar, and the Shar time system of Enki was one Shar was 3,600 Earth years, was it not?
Yeah, I will have to go back and look, but yeah.
But that's not lunar, like you said. That was solar cycles.
Right.
Solar cycles. 3,600 solar cycles.
Yep.
Was their continuum of lifespan. So remember now, if a person that lived to be 100, they were over 3,600,000 years old.
Yep.
I mean, just bear with me for a moment on that right now. If they were living to 100 of their life cycle, Methuselah in the Bible supposedly lived 969 years.
Right, which was
let's round up to 1,000.
Noah's dad, right? Wasn't Methuselah Noah's dad? If I remember properly. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
But again, the number in the Hebrew Bible, and Sandra, please correct me at any time if I'm in error, was 969. Let's round it up to 1,000.
Yep.
Again, you got 3,600, and you put 3 zeros behind that, so it lived to be 1,000 years. That's 3,600,000 years.
Yep.
Can you even fathom that? And remember when we're talking about between Enlil and Enki and her sister, can't think of her name right now, but she was the actual geneticist.
Yeah, she was the geneticist. Right.
Well, hell, isn't the womb where your life? The matrix from Sophia Stewart is the womb.
That's what she said.
That is what matrix is, a Latin ancient word for the womb.
Right. Right. And even with those calculations, brothers, that's just one particular realm.
Right.
You exist on multiple realms. Because
and remember my mind is bouncing a lot, but remember when the father came back to visit them, whenever that next time was he came, and he looked younger than them?
Yeah.
I knew. I'm trying to think of his name. I knew.
Yeah, because they have been in a certain density, so they aged faster.
By being on Earth.
Right, in a lower density. Yep.
So when we're dealing, I'm the method to my madness and what I'm saying tonight, no disrespect to you, those so-called white Caucasian listeners tonight, must understand, whether you get it or not, we're the ones that's confused because we're following behind you.
Right.
And the parent following behind a child, trying to be their friend, we already see a whole fucked up society right now, don't we?
Absolutely.
So when we're submerging ourselves, repressing ourselves, and I'm wrapping up with this, my sister. For to go within, we can't tap into our genetic makeup when we don't understand what it comprises. Now, I'm not agreeing with Ancestry.com, 23andMe, and whatever, AfricanAncestry.com, this latest scam, this gift gate is going on false. I'm not advocating for it. I'm saying, no different than for the reparations discussion, it is not a solution. It will not bring us resolution. But it will start the consciousness. It will start raising the thought process. It will start us understanding our story, not quite his story. And I yield.
All right then, brother. Peace and love. Peace and love. Good to hear your voice, brother. Good to hear your voice.
Peace and love, brother.
Okay, we got about 4 minutes left. So, sis, you have any last words for the family?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I like that 842. Or
Yeah.
832 is.
Yeah, 832. Brother Sean, you have any last words for the family?
No, I'm good, sis.
Okay. Well, family, you know, I'm going to say, and I'm going to say again, this is endgame. So the cyclical cycle of 3D, it's a wrap. It's done. So it's up to you what you want to do. Okay? So I'm going to rock out with the song by Lauryn Hill called Get Out. Get out. Get out of the cycle. Only you can do that. You are an infinite being. So with that, thank you all so much for joining us. We will be back next week. Thank you, Sis Sandra. Thank you, Brother Sean. Love you very much. Love you very much, family. Peace and love. We'll be back